All right, are you ready to dive into the Fantastic Four?
I am. I'm excited to hear your thoughts on it.
I'm excited to talk about it. I'm very excited to talk about it. Welcome back to the Caffeinated Comic Club. What are you drinking today, Marsh?
You asked me mid-drink. The spring edition of Red Bull. It's like cherry sakura.
Yeah, do you like it?
I do like it. I got 5 of them. They were on sale at Target. So I got like 5 for 12 or something like that. I like it a lot.
I tried it a few weeks ago, and it was on the way to the Bachelorette thing. The driver brought a cooler for everyone who wasn't driving, and it had different Alanis and Red Bulls and little 99 banana shots. So I thought that mixing a cherry 99 bananas with that would be delicious, and it was so foul, so foul.
So bad. It does not sound good.
It was not.
Speaking of alcohol, I am not drinking alcohol for the foreseeable future in my lifetime.
So what were you drinking Friday? Because when you sent me that, when I saw the text that you had the hangover, I was like, oh my God. I didn't even know y'all were drinking.
Yeah, so like we were drinking, right? And like I told you in my text message, I didn't get vertical on Saturday until 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
So it was that bad.
It was that. I have never been like that ever. It was terrible. But
Man.
So like the first drink I had, I did like a buzzball with some Gatorade and some water to top it off. And that was fine. No, I did a buzzball with one of these and then topped it off with some Gatorade. And that was my first drink in my hydro flask. Then I got another drink and I did the beatbox with some Gatorade and some water to top it off. And then I did, and this is the drink I think that fucked me up because like I was fine. Like I was like, tipsy or whatever, but I did a cut water with Gatorade and water, and that is like Chris went to bed too. So I ended up sleeping here in this room on the floor next to
No way. Did you have the fan?
Yeah, the fan was on. The fan was on.
Okay, good. That's wild. What's even wilder about that is that you were doing all of the right things to avoid the hangover. The water and the Gatorade to stay hydrated?
Yeah, I know. After the first 2, like, I could feel like, yes, like, I was gonna have a headache the next morning. But then, like, I was fine with the cut water, and then all of a sudden I wasn't. So, I don't know what happened.
Had you eaten?
We had dinner, but I wasn't snacking or anything, so that could have also been a thing.
Your body just betrayed you. That's crazy.
Listen, I have never been that way after a hangover. It was a rough time.
I believe that.
And then
I haven't been that way in years.
And then I tried to call Chris, and he thought it was his alarm, so he kept just like hitting the side button on his iPhone. And finally, when he came into the room, I was just like, "You hate me. You didn't want to come in here and save me."
Lord, that is so funny. He's like, no. I am drinking a lime slush Alani today. My favorite drink right now. No alcohol. I did have a couple of alcohols this weekend. I had a Bloody Mary yesterday at brunch, and I had a strawberry margarita for lunch yesterday, and a few beers here and there.
Frozen or on the rocks?
On the rocks, always for me. I cannot do a frozen marg. I support all frozen margs, just not in my world. It's too cold.
That's fair. You can't get frozen margs up here, so it's crazy.
Okay, what does that mean? What do you mean you can't get frozen margs up there?
They don't have frozen margaritas up here, dude. I'm telling you, they don't have them. They don't exist.
So there are too many rules about alcohol in your state that are bonkers and out of this world. That is insane.
Well, I don't know why they don't have them, right? But like my mom, when she first moved up here, she loves a good margarita swirl. And she was like, you can't find a frozen margarita up here. And she's like, she found one and she's like, this is not a frozen margarita. And I was like, I don't know what that means. I also don't drink frozen margaritas. I prefer them on the rocks as well. But you do, I think if you get it frozen, you end up getting more if we're really gonna like get down to it. But
yeah, no, that's so true. That is so true. That's another reason why I can't do it, because I always feel so sick, because I have no self-control when it comes to margarita. So
that's valid.
There is a place near me though called the Big Chill, or it might be called the Big Freeze, but it's a bar, but the only alcohol you can get is in slushy form, and it's a giant wall of slushies, like 50 alcoholic slushy flavors. It's pretty
That
cool.
sounds so cool, but so dangerous.
It's incredibly dangerous. Incredibly dangerous. Right. A little bit of housekeeping. This is a very spoiler heavy podcast. We get into the nitty gritty. Today, we're going to be diving into Fantastic Four, the Mark Waid run. So if you want to read it without spoilers, go ahead and leave now, but stay with us because it's really good and I'm very excited to talk about it. When it comes to our social medias, you can find us on TikTok and Instagram. My username is Uncanny Gare.
And my username is Marsh Likes Comics.
Lord.
What are your pulls for this week, Gare?
I haven't even looked at them yet, so we're going to do this together. Uncanny X-Men 26. I'm so excited. Gail Simone. I didn't know it was coming out this week. I had no clue. Wolverine number 18. Black Cat number 9. Psylocke Ninja number 4, even though I'm really not loving it. Moonstar number 2 comes out this week. That's very exciting.
Nice.
Uncanny X-Men Annual number 1 also is coming out this week, so I'm excited to get that. For DC, Supergirl number 12. That's it when it comes to DC. And then I don't know, do we have Die Loaded number 6 for Image Comics? And York number 3 is coming out this week. I didn't know that. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm getting Die Loaded number 6. When is Exquisite Corpses coming out? I feel like it's been a month. I don't
Probably
know.
next week. Probably. I think it's next week.
What are you pulling this week?
So I have a light week this week, but for DC, I have Bleeding Hearts number 3 by Dennis Camp. I'm going to check out The Fury of Firestorm number 1, which is by Jeff Lemire.
Oh.
And then Sirens Love Hurts number 3. Those are my 3 DC pulls. And then I have 2 images. I have Die Loaded number 6, York number 3. It's just so fun. I think that it's like a turn your brain off, kind of have like a fun, like fantasy kind of adventure. It's just really fun. And then for Marvel, I have Iron Man number 4.
Yeah, Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Every single time that you say you're getting sirens, I'm like, the way that I like tricked you into
That's your
getting
fault.
sirens, and then I
yeah.
never picked it up. I never picked it up.
Yep.
I
did.
will.
You tricked me.
I will
No,
eventually.
It's fine. Exquisite Corpses comes out the last week of April. No, the 22nd. The 22nd.
Okay.
It isn't the last week.
I have zero concept of time, so that's on me for not knowing.
No, you're fine. It does feel like it came out a while ago. I'll be real with you on that too.
Yeah, I feel like it was like 4 weeks ago. But again, no
but they've
concept
been
of
pushing
time
a lot
here.
of books. A lot of books have been pushed lately, so I don't know.
How did it feel to dive into a new book this week? One that you've already read, but one that is absolutely not Extreme X-Men.
I loved it. It's the Fantastic Four. I'm gonna love it either way. Kind of like you with X-Men. Like, I think even though Extreme X-Men you didn't quite vibe with, I still think that you kind of loved it in this like its own like weird kind of a way. But no, the Fantastic Four is my jam. I absolutely loved it. This is my favorite run of the Fantastic Four. So getting your little comments every couple of days on where you were, I was like, yep, I'm getting them. I'm getting them. Like I kind of already had you when you were reading Ryan North's run, but I was like, this is it. This is the moment.
I felt the urge to buy things, and then which is so wild, I was on Comic Swap Reddit looking at X-Men omnibuses, and someone has the entire John Byrne run in singles on Comic Swap right now for $150. And like, I almost did it, and then I was like, I don't know if that's a good price. I don't know nothing about it, and I left the app because I was like, that's crazy, Aaron.
That's actually a good price though. One of the Byrne books is like a $40 book.
Oh,
by
word.
Itself.
The person who was selling it said that they were all 7.5s or better. So they looked really good in all the pictures, but I did not go any further than that. I stopped myself,
totally
and I bought something else crazier than that.
What did you buy?
So I'm not oh God. Okay.
You don't have to go into it if you don't want to.
Listen, no. Because, like, I have had, when you buy something and you're really excited about it, and then, like, 30 minutes later, you start to feel the remorse creep in? I've been living in the remorse. True, valid. I don't make gigantic purchases very often, and this to some people is not gigantic, but to me it is, especially for what it is. I also never buy things like, it took me, like Funkos were like the most frivolous decision I would make for a long time, but I've recently added figures. I never ever buy Legos. I bought.
Did you buy the X-Men one?
Yep. I saw some TikToks
No,
about
it's
it.
gonna be so cool.
It is going to be so cool. It's going to be so fun to put together. I saw some TikToks about it this morning, and then I started thinking about it while I was eating or lunch with my family. I kept thinking about it. And then I looked up pictures of it, and then I like posted it on my story, and then I looked at more pictures of it, and then I suddenly had bought it. And then I also bought about 11 custom minifigures of X-Men to go in the mansion with all the ones that come with it.
That's cool though.
It will be very cool. It will
You'll
be
you'll
very
really
cool.
like it. You'll really like it. You'll like it.
I being done with Extreme X-Men has been really good because I've been reading other X-Men this week. Like I talked about it last week. I think that when I would finish reading what we were having to read for the pod, I was just burnt out on reading for the week. I like did not want to read any other comics. I still I have a stack of like recent singles that I haven't read because I just wasn't about it. But I started rereading Silver Age, and it's just made me like really happy. And then reading Fantastic Four this week, I was like, oh my god, I love to read. I love to read again. Like it was just so fun, and I was flying through Fantastic Four. I also did it differently this week. I usually when I read, I like take notes every page. And I found during Extreme X-Men that not only did it took me so much longer to read, but I was also so done with reading by the end of an issue. So this time I was like, I'm just going to read through it and then read it again. And that for me, that is going to be the way to do it from now on, because it didn't mess up my flow that I had going. But I did have to stop myself because like I would have read all 12 issues like in a sitting had I not. So I like would read 2 and then I would sit with them. And then today I saved the final arc for today to read. And I'm really glad I did that too, because it's fresh on my mind and it's also the most important that we will talk about this week. So I just had a really great time. I had a really, really great time. I really love Doctor Doom, even though he's very scary and pretty evil. I really love Johnny Storm. I love everybody. I love all of them. I love Valeria in the sense that she is the daughter of 2 people that I really care about, but like she also is a baby that is not speaking yet. So I'm just like, you're cute. Happy that you're here, girl. But I'm excited to get into the Valeria I know from the X-Men and Fantastic Four Krakoa story.
That's fair.
She was a little bitch and I loved her. She was like, come get me. Come get me, Uncle Doom. I'm tired of their shit. And I love that. I love a cranky teenager. So I guess we should get into it. You excited? You ready? All right.
I am so ready.
We start with issue 60, which comes right after the Claremont run. And I don't really know what happens at the end of that run to get them into this situation. Do you know, was there like a big event where they I just didn't look up what happened right before.
So I actually haven't read Claremont's run, but I'm pretty sure this was just like a soft reboot issue to get new readers onto the book.
Okay.
That aren't as familiar with the characters. But
maybe I recommend you just never read the Claremont run. Like you have them, just never read them, you know? Just let them live in secret.
And LaRocca. I have to know.
So, Fantastic Four, issue 60. We open at a PR company with a recap of how the Fantastic Four came to be. The PR people discuss how the numbers have been dipping for the Fantastic Four, so they send this nervous ginger dude named Schertzer to go meet them and fill them out. We cut to Schertzer and the Fantastic Four aboard an interdimensional transport. Johnny and Ben are fighting like little boys, and Sue and Reed are trying to wrangle them in for the sake of the ginger. They're on a trip to secure a dimensional probe that Reed made called a datavore that's being attacked by a swarm of alien bugs. It's quickly taken care of, and the team gets back in the transport with a still very nervous Schertzer. They make it back to home base, where they introduce Schertzer to Franklin and let him know that Valeria is with her sitter on the moon. That's all they say about that right now. Let me tell you. And later, when it's revealed who the babysitter is, I was like, I know this person, and I was excited about it. Anyway, Reed and the PR guy go off to chat while the rest of the gang ponders how strange it is for Reed to even care about popularity enough to hire a PR team. That's kind of a consistent thing throughout this issue. This is where we see one of the bugs from the little universe they went to before crawling off of the transport ship and hiding. Before I go any further, I just want to say the journey of this bug throughout these issues cracks me up so bad. Mark Waid's brain is very, very funny to me. The following Monday, Johnny, Sue, and Schertzer are atop one of her force fields fixing something high up on their building. Schertzer is scared out of his mind while Johnny and Sue discuss Johnny's recent breakup with Jennifer. Is that She-Hulk? Is that who they're talking about when they say Jennifer?
I don't think so.
Period. Did they date when she was on the team?
No, she dated Wyatt. Wyatt Winthrop.
Okay. Wyatt,
Mm-hmm.
the person that you posted about, and then they mentioned him one time in this arc, and I was like, okay, I'm one step closer to getting to know this Wyatt that everyone's talking about lately. And then the rest of the issue kind of continues with us just seeing what their daily lives are like. Tuesday, there's a lab accident that they help take care of. Wednesday, they are shopping, and Ben meets some young rappers that have written a song about him called It's Clobbering Time.
That was really
And he
cool, though.
was it was cool, and it was written really well, and he's like, that's not music, that's terrible. And then Friday we see Reed and Sue signing autographs for young kids who don't know their names, and then there's like a shot of Ben at home like listening to, or singing the rap song about him to himself.
Yeah.
And that was adorable to me. All the while, Sue is still trying to figure out why Reed would hire this PR team. Back at the firm, Schertzer is talking to some comic book writers who want to reboot the Fantastic Four comic with a new, very 2000s edginess. And let me say, it looked a bit too similar to Extreme X-Men for me. And I was like, I know what y'all are doing. I know what's happening right now. The red and the suits. Anyways, he's like, I get it, but they're not really superheroes. Not really. That the help that comes with their jobs as trailblazers and great contributors to the future of the world, just have them using their powers to help people. And I was like, that is such an like eloquent description of these characters, especially with this issue. I love that the reboot issue was just like showing like the new audience that we're not here for gimmicks. Like, this is a family with superpowers. This is a group of people who really care about the world, and they're not like the X-Men getting involved in things that are not their business. They're not like the Avengers trying to police everybody with all of their stuff. They're just a family. I just really liked that scene in that little moment.
Yes, that was probably the biggest thing that stood out to me while reading this issue, especially because what's funny to the listeners is that I read Gare. I'm reading it physically, and I have like a trade, and it has a letter from Mark Waid basically saying that he didn't really know about the Fantastic Four, didn't really have any interest in writing the Fantastic Four, and but then like all of these people got together, and his name came up as a writer, and he ended up writing the Fantastic Four. And the fact that he didn't know anything about them, really, like he knew, like all the big plot points and things like that, but he didn't really care about them until he started writing them. And the fact that he wrote this as his first issue blew my mind, because I actually forgot about this whole scene here, the one that Gary's talking about, where basically I keep calling him Scherzer, so that's what his name's going to be, where Scherzer explained what the Fantastic Four were, that they aren't your regular superheroes. They're adventurers, trailblazers, scientists who just happen to stumble upon danger and take care of it. And I think, as Gare said, that's an eloquent way of saying what the Fantastic Four is. It's not an action comic. If you're here for action, you're not going to get that. It's just about a family who does sciencey things. I love them so much.
Yeah, I do too already. I also, when you read me that letter, like, he talked about how hard it was to write this issue and how long it took him and how much pressure there was. And reading it is kind of wild because, like, it's just kind of perfect. Like, it's kind of a perfect book, this first issue. And I love reading it after being so involved in what I've read with Ryan North's run, and how so much of like modern day Fantastic Four feels like this book too, a little bit, like the family themes are still so strong. Their power sets are a little different now, so with things that they can do that they couldn't do back in these days, but like the core of it all is still there. So it's kind of lovely to see that even today, like, they're not really straying from the promise of the first family, This issue does end with Reed confessing to baby Valeria that he cares so much about the PR firm because, and I cried on the first issue, and it was a lot. He still holds unfathomable guilt for what he says destroyed their lives when they first got their powers. And he thinks that if they're famous and loved, then people won't treat them like monsters. And he feels like it's the only thing he can do for his family to make up for changing their lives so drastically. And it was just really good, and made me see him in a way that, like, I haven't really seen him yet. Because again, I haven't read much. And I love Reed, and he's funny in a weird way, and he's really, really smart. But sometimes he comes across as way more logic than emotion. And so for it to
Hmm.
there to be emotion like this in this moment, I was just like, okay, I get this character now. Like, I understand him. And I just thought it was a great way to end the first issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed. I like I said, I'm really glad that you really seem to be liking this a lot. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know,
I'm
just
having,
yeah, it's just so good. Sorry, that's all I have to say. Like, I get like really emotional about the Fantastic Four. So like the fact
yeah.
that like we're reading it and discussing it, I'm just like, this is really cool.
Don't make me cry. Are we going to spend the next 4 weeks just crying? Because you know me, I'll cry. I think that was the only time that I cried during these first 12 issues. But
Hmm.
I care about them way more now than I did while reading the first issue. So, and again, I will get it. It's because the more time that you spend with these characters, the more you really understand the family of it all. And like that, the family of it all speaks to me in ways that I did not really expect it to. Like X-Men has been my thing for so long because it's very much a soap opera. There's found family elements in it. And as a queer person,
Hmm.
found family is something that's really important to me. But right now in my life, family is really important to me too. With like everything that's happened with my dad recently, and just like everything with my sister my whole life, family's a really big deal. So reading this through this lens right now, I'm like, ah, shit, this is where it's at. So I am excited to continue this journey, but I'm also excited to dive back into older Fantastic Four as well. Issue 61. The next issue opens with Sue talking to Reed about sending Johnny on a mission to prove himself. Reed doesn't think it's a good idea and says that if he fails, it could be the end of everything as they know it, including the Fantastic Four. They don't really tell us what it's going to be at this moment, and I was like, what are y'all doing? Like, why are y'all sending this child to do something? I don't know how old Johnny is. I don't know. At this point in the run, I don't with the sliding time scale, I assume he's like 1920. Am I right? Am I wrong? Like, I don't know. Franklin is 7.
Franklin is 7. I would
Yes.
say Johnny is probably like a maybe just hit like 20, 22. Like
Okay.
still like young adult, but like should
Brain
kind of
has
start
not
trying to get your
fully
life together
developed
kind of
yet.
a thing.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Ben has opened a package that has a pie rig to slap him in the face, and he's raging because it is yet another package from the Yancey Street gang who have been harassing him for years by doing pranks like this. Only this time, the package has the receipt of the person that bought it, and so now Ben decides it's finally time to face his harassers and runs out of the apartment down toward Yancey Street. This was a very, very funny subplot. Johnny immediately starts sweating and reveals to Sue that he's the one that's been sending the pies to Ben for years. Sue gets angry and tells him to go admit the truth to Ben and fix it. So he flies after Ben, and instead of being honest with him, tries to get him to go back home and just let it go. He's like, let bygones be bygones, which is a
But
really funny thing.
to be fair though, so that's like a 800, like a ton of rock coming at you. Would you want to be completely honest with him either in that moment?
No, absolutely not. But I would never have left the receipt in the box either.
That's valid. That's valid.
So Ben has had enough with Johnny and knocks him into a hair salon where his flames cause the sprinklers to go off and ruin everything in the shop. Also, really funny. Also, love that he took a moment to flirt with one of the patrons in there. I love him. I love him so much. Johnny, again, chases after him and asks him why he's so angry. I did cry again. Actually, I did cry again. I cried
Did
again
you?
at this moment. Yeah.
With
I
Ben.
don't know what it is about Ben. I empathize with him a lot. I feel bad for him because he's just a big old rock. Ben tells Johnny that you never get used to waking up and looking like a monster, and that he grew up on Yancey Street, and so every time he receives one of these packages, it's just a reminder of how he can never go back. And I was like, fuck you, Mark. That's not nice, Mark. This is actually crazy of you, Mark. Like, it's just very funny subplot, immediately hurts me really bad. Meanwhile, in Reed's lab, he senses something is wrong and runs to check on his children to find that their room has like eyes and teeth all over the walls and floor.
Mm-hmm.
And he grabs Franklin and then grabs Valeria to find she has spiders all over her face and coming out of her eyeballs, which are like black pits. And then he runs the children out of the room. And I was like, what the fuck is going on here? What is going on here? Because like at this point, like we know that Franklin has powers, but I was like, reading this, I was like, I don't know what Valeria's powers are. Like, I don't remember seeing them in anything. I know, like, in the little Marvel video game that I play on my phone, she has powers, but I don't really know what they are because she'd just be running around a lot. But I was like, could she make people have nightmares? I didn't know. Back on the street, Ben is still determined to make it to the shop so he can figure out who has been pranking him, and Johnny is doing everything he can to stop him with no luck. They come around the corner to the address to find that there is not a building there. Ben gives up and goes home pretty quickly. And Johnny is left questioning how the store he's purchased the pie from has gone when it was there the day before. Suddenly, the building reappears and Sue walks out shouting at Johnny as he tries to fly away. Annoyed with him for not telling Ben the truth, Sue drags him back and puts him in a business suit. She tells him that they are sending him on a mission to be the newest executive at FF Inc., making him have a corporate job. She tells him how important this is and sets him off to work. Just wild. Just a wild turn of events. I listen, I have done my fair share of feeling guilt. I don't think, like, with the things that I know about Sue and like their life, I don't know if putting Johnny as the executive in a financial position was the right idea. I like where it goes, but I was like, are you cooking? If you're cooking, what are we doing? Because everyone's just like, you're wrong. Hey, this is a bad idea. Hey. And so I had no clue where this was going to go at all.
I feel like she just has guilt, right? Because she's basically been his parents since their parents died, and they died when she was a teenager. So she ended up basically raising Johnny. And so since he still acts like a child, even though he's like a young adult, I think she feels some sort of guilt that she raised him incorrectly, didn't teach him the right things. And so I think she thinks, if I can put him in this position, either he's going to sink or swim, he's going to grow up or not. And do I think it's the right decision? But like you said, it goes in an interesting direction. But I do think that she acted maybe a little bit irrationally by putting him in that position. But maybe that's the only thing she could think of to maybe make him grow up, was, hey, you're in charge of all of our money now, and if you kind of, for lack of a better term, fuck up, we're all fucked.
And he does love his allowance. He really does love that allowance he gets. Issue 62, we open with Reed and Sue being all cutesy in Times Square, where Reed is working on some type of tech. I was kind of unsure. A lot of the times when Reed is doing stuff with, like, technology and computers, in any run I've read, I'm just like, yep, that is a computer that you are touching, and I could not tell you anything it does. I don't know what that is, but I support this hot man. You know? So anyways, they're working on some data thing in Times Square. Sue is keeping him invisible. They finish up and then kiss, much to the happiness of onlookers after he comes out of being invisible and they realize they're in the presence of the Invisible Woman and Mr. Fantastic. They sign some autographs and they chat about the scary thing from last issue with Valeria and Franklin and the eyes on the walls. And Sue asks if anyone with powers was around, and then Reed realizes that they've never tested Val for powers, ever. So they rush home to get to work on that. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to know what you thought about this. I put ask Marsh. Is Reed not the person who would have tested in utero, or am I just Pedro Pascaling that in my brain?
I would say you're probably Pedro Pascaling it. Like, do I think that he might have thought something might be different about his children? Probably, but I don't think he would have tested his children. Kind of like they didn't now, right? But also, Valeria came into the world in a very strange way. I think I kind of touched on it with you before, where Reed
I have a note in here about it too.
Yeah,
that says, ask Marsh about this birth.
He was gone, and so Sue was having complications, and the only person Johnny could think of that could save Sue was Doom. So Doom came and delivered Valeria, and the only way that he was going to do it was if he could name their child, and so he named her Valeria after the Valeria that you read about later. And it was kind of like a stickler. It was kind of like a poking the stick at Reed. Like, you weren't here for your wife and your child. I was here. Now you have to, go with this name that I've named her, kind of a thing.
Yeah. As someone who is recently obsessed with Doctor Doom and really loves the idea of Doctor Doom, the way he talks about that later in the book, which is where I wrote in my notes, ask Marsh about this again. Because now that I'm caring more about Reed, I'm like, hey, man, Hey man, be nice, man. And we'll get there. We'll get there. But I've got big feelings about Doctor Doom and the Valeria of it all.
I'm excited.
So they go back to the lab. They go back to the lab to start testing Val. Before they get there, though, we see Ben is babysitting the kids in a really wild way. He's taking them, I think, into the ocean. And they're riding on the back of some giant sea creature. Very casual, not explained. And I was like, okay, this is the type of uncle that Ben is. I appreciate that because I feel like I would be that uncle. Reed summons them home and they get back. And so they start testing Val. Franklin is trying really hard to get people to pay attention to him. We then catch up with Johnny at his new office job, where he's feeling out of his depth, and we are introduced to two of his coworkers that are plotting his downfall for their own financial gain. They think that if they can get him fired, then Sue will give them promotions. Their names are Ethan and Christy, and I will, as we go on, just refer to them as Johnny's shitty coworkers because I cannot stand them. I cannot stand the way they're drawn. They look like two of the worst people you will ever meet. They're no fun and they're mean to you at the drink machine. Like that's the vibe that I get from them. Do not love them at all. So, he's feeling out of it. He's feeling out of his depth and he comes home and he finds Franklin sad because everyone's giving Val more attention than him because they are testing her for her powers. After a bunch of tests.
Yeah, but I feel bad for Franklin. He doesn't know.
I do too. I
absolutely
feel bad for Franklin as well. He's a sweet little baby. I will say this is kind of the only Franklin I've ever seen is Days of Future Past Franklin and Fantastic Four X-Men Franklin from Krakoa, where he's like, I'm a mutant. No, I'm not. Yes, I am. Like it's that whole thing. So that's all I know. I haven't got to see this precious baby boy version. After a bunch of tests, late into the night, they, Reed settles on Val is just a perfectly normal baby girl, and you get to see him like holding her while she's asleep, and it's just cute. The next day, Sue and Ben go to the movies, and they're chatting during the previews of the movies, and he asks her if she's only making Johnny work at the office because she raised him alone and feels responsible for how he's turned out. Before she can really process this, first, she's drawn to look like she does not appreciate Ben saying this, but before we get to see her process it at all, a scary humanoid thing made out of code comes out of the movie screen and attacks. During the attack, it analyzes Sue's body and starts to make her arm come apart, like dissipating, kind of, like the molecules are swirling around. It's horrific. Very scary. And Sue immediately starts to hold it together with a force build. And then the code does it to Ben and starts making his rocks fall off of him. And you can see like the epidermis underneath. Too much for me. I'm not a body horror person. And I was like, gross. I don't want to see what's under Ben's rocks, Sue protects him as well with a force field. And they mention calling Reed for help. And then the code monster is like, bring him to me. And Sue's like, don't hurt him. And he's like, I would never. I love him. And that's how the issue ends. And I was like, okay. Gay code monster? Not gay, but that's where I thought we were going. I was like, it was 2002 or whatever year it was. That is not where we were going. Issue 63 immediately begins back in the movie theater. Sue is holding herself and Ben together from disintegrating. And they decide they got to warn Johnny and Reed because this code thing has like flown into the Fantastic Four communicator in her purse and disappeared. Cut to Johnny at a company rooftop pool party. What rich people do when they're finance executives. Where his shitty coworkers are trying to get him to make a deal that will get him fired by Sue. This company with this guy named Swarty wants to buy the unstable molecule fabric that Reed uses to make suits, even though Reed and Sue have always wanted this to stay a proprietary technology, meaning that only the Fantastic Four can use it because it doesn't need to fall into the wrong hands. This guy wants to use it for fashion, but Johnny counters it and says that it could be good if it was used for like police officers or firefighters. And so he agrees to do the deal with this company as long as they only sell to firefighters and police officers.
That was actually a really good idea.
Agreed. I thought so as well.
That was a great idea.
I was like, why would Sue be mad about this? Like, I think it actually is a smart decision. And his shitty little coworkers are just so excited about it. They're like, we're going to get his ass fired. She's going to give us promotions. And just as they're about to make the deal, the code monster comes out of Johnny's Fantastic Four communicator and starts to mess with his molecules and causes a giant explosion above the roof. And I was like, did they just incinerate the entire pool party? They did not. Turns out they did not. But it looked like they did from that drawing. And I was like, holy shit.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, Sue and men have made it back to the lab. And Reed has been in this like tube of water, like Luke Skywalker on Hoth. Is it Hoth where he is when that happens? And he's like, it's like a
Yes.
healing bath that's putting his molecules back together. And he's
I think
got
it's called,
Sue's
like, a
arm
bantha
in
bath.
a bantha bath, and he's got Sue's arm in like a little tiny mini bantha bath, like a lava lamp size, getting it to
Lava
heal
lamp
back to normal
size.
as well. The three of them are talking, and they deduce that someone must have tampered with this device that Reed's been working with that has a lot of code on the screen. I'm not really sure what that device is for. He describes it, but it's
his little PDA that he has that like
he takes
he
notes
stores
in it,
all
right?
of it, but it stores it in another dimension, like an infinite dimension where it never runs out of space. Yeah,
Yes.
that's
And they decide that someone must have tampered with this device, and they assume it's Johnny. They all immediately are just like, Johnny! And they get very angry about it. And then sweet baby Franklin comes out of the shadows, and it's like, don't yell at Uncle Johnny. It was me. Val gets all the attention lately, and I thought that Daddy's computer could fix me, and that he would love me lots more if I was smarter. And I was like, somebody needs to apologize right now. I was so
little Franklin.
upset. It was so sad. And Reed's just baffled and just like stares at him. And Sue is like, hey, say something to your son right now. And just as he's about to affirm to Franklin that he loves him, Johnny crashes through the window and tells them that the code monster is outside. And Sue tells Franklin that they would have to have a talk when things calm down, but not right now. And Franklin's sweet little 7-year-old self is left to cry, thinking everyone is mad at him. And I was like, I'm furious. Furious.
So like obviously Reed's not 7, right? But like that's
Mhm.
like my worst nightmare is like if my child came up to me and was like, I just wanted to be better at sports, or I wanted to do this, or I wanted to do that to make you more proud of me, and I was just like in my brain I'd be like, what did I do wrong to think my child think that I wouldn't love him for what he's doing? Why does he think he has to like hit this sort of pinnacle to like get my attention? Like what did I do? And obviously that's what Reed is doing. But like I was just like the emotion I was hit with when I reread this after having Reed is insane. Okay. Like whole different lens on how I read this. And I just poor little Franklin.
Yep. I do not have children, and I cannot imagine what that must feel like. But I was just mad on his behalf. Like I understand where he's coming from. My sister has a very severe disability. And so she was sick a lot when I was a kid. And I remember having feelings similar to this, not understanding why she got more. Like as like a 5-year-old, 5-6-year-old being like, hey, I am here too. Now as an adult, I'm like, I understand. But it's like to be a little kid and to not be getting the attention that like you feel like you need. And honestly, you do need. I get it. I understand it for him. So it was really sad to see. And then like when they didn't even get to talk to him about it and just left him there with tears in his eyes, I was like, fuck, somebody needs to, where's Herbie at? Speaking of, where is Herbie? Where's Herbie?
Oh, Herbie's been gone for a long time.
What do you mean?
Like a long time.
But like, what do you mean? Is he dead?
Sure... Yeah, so like Herbie was brought in because of a TV show, because they did a Fantastic Four TV show in like the 70s, I think it was. Okay. And they introduced Herbie because they didn't have the rights to use Johnny Storm. So it was just Sue, Reed, Ben, and Herbie, no Johnny. And so then they brought Herbie into the comic book. And then, if I remember right, like Herbie ends up turning evil or something like that. It's been a while since I've read about it, but he like turns evil and like tries to kill the Fantastic Four, I believe. Hold on, no, I brought it up and now I have to make sure that's right.
Hashtag not my Herbie. That's crazy. That's I regret asking this question now. The news
Hold on.
in which you have wrought upon me is insane.
Okay, so apparently in Fantastic Four number 244, there was a second Herbie, and it was destroyed by Franklin. That's all it tells me. Like I said, I'm pretty sure he went evil. He like got evil for some reason, and then he got killed by Franklin. I think. Don't come after me. I don't remember. That sounds right to me.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a follow-up question now that I know the E True Hollywood story of Herbie. How did you feel about Herbie being included in the film?
I liked Herbie in the film because So Herbie was in the show. He was like the nanny to Franklin, and that's kind of what it seemed like he was gonna be in the film because he was like like a robot that was like helping around and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think Herbie's cute. He's not really like my favorite thing to read in the comic books, so I liked how they incorporated him into the film.
Mm-hmm.
But like he wasn't like he was just like a little side character, like a little cute little side character.
Okay. Yeah, and it's like they couldn't bring Catherine Hahn in to be the nanny, So she's
How
dead.
epic would that have been, though?
I
Listen,
know.
though. Listen.
I know. I would have
How
lived.
epic would that have been if we could have brought the actual Agatha Harkness to be? Listen.
They reference her in this run.
They do. They do.
Not Catherine, but Agatha. I'm excited to go back and read that time period though, because I would love to see old Agatha. I love Agatha in every iteration I've seen her in. I just think she's a fabulous character, and I love the idea that she was the nanny to Franklin Richards. I think that's hilarious.
Mm-hmm.
But Franklin is crying because everyone's mad at him, so he thinks. Down in the street, the team fights the code monster, which at this point by now we have learned is actually named Modulus. Reed demands that Modulus define what his function is, and Modulus says, "You define me, Reed. All that I am because I love you, and the longer that I exist, the more like you I become. I am the total of your essence, and you are the solution to my loneliness." Sent a chill down my spine. So creepy. This character is so creepy. Very stalkery.
Isn't it, though?
Do not love it at all. Very, very cool villain, but freaked me out. Modulus then enters Reed's mind very briefly before Johnny blasts through him and severs the connection. The way they drew Modulus entering through Reed's eyeballs, horrifying. I was just like, why is this actually so scary right now? Yeah, horrifying. Horrifying. Thank you, Johnny. Let's all say thank you, Johnny, because it was too much.
Thank you, Johnny. It was a lot. I was like, oh, that's gross.
It was. But because he entered Reed's mind, Reed now knows Modulus intimately and realizes that he's an algebraic formula without an equal sign. So Reed takes the team back to the lab, tells Sue to get Ben and Johnny to buy him some time so he can determine a very specific and unique mathematical formula. And she asks him, for what? And he says, for me, for Reed Richards. And I was like, oh, Mark Waid is cooking with the way he's writing this book and the way he writes Reed. Like, you can tell, like, even though we're only 3 or 4 issues in, he has a penchant for Reed. And the way he writes him is just, it scratches my brain. I love how smart it is. I love how smart Reed is. And then we enter. Go ahead.
I just want to go back to the fight with Modulus after he enters his brain. So, like, I thought it was funny because everyone up to then, when they were explaining what Modulus was, everyone was saying he's a walking equation. Reed is like, was like, and Johnny, hold Modulus off as long as you can. Sue, come with me, and all of you learn some algebra. And he's like, and everyone's like, what do you mean? He says, Modulus, the description each of you gave him was almost the death of us. And Sue was like, he's a walking equation. And Reed's like, no, he's not. In fact, in all the formulae racing across his skin, did you once see an equal sign? No. And that's because, like you said, he's not an equation. He's looking for his equal. And I was like, sir, Mark Waid, my guy. I don't even know how you come up with that. That's crazy.
Ridiculously smart. It was so cool. Issue 64 starts directly after that. This is the finale of this Enchant arc. Reed is inside of the code while Johnny and Ben are fighting Modulus on the street. Inside of the code, it seems that Reed is building himself out of the code, and in the lab, Sue is trying to get Franklin and Val to safety, but realizes that Modulus has chopped all of their transports in half. And she's talking to Reed. There's a funny moment where he's like, can I hold a note? And she's like, no. Instantly, no, you cannot. It's like he was going to make the copy of him be able to sing, and I thought that was a very funny thing to think of in that moment. Then Sue realizes that they need to get rid of the comm links because they're all connected to Modulus. Back on the street, Modulus analyzes a building and brings the entire thing down on top of Ben and Johnny. So Ben is in the rubble on top of Johnny. Johnny's passed out, and he's like, wake up, kid. And I was like, don't you dare. Don't make me cry right now. Like, they love each other so much, but they give each other so much shit, just like brothers actually do. And I
Like a
I just
family.
love it. I love it so much. Back in the lab, Sue decides to try to use a teleporter to get her kids to safety, and it explodes when she tries to use it, and Modulus comes out and starts chasing them through the lab. Again, this character is so scary to me. He knocks out Sue and then changes his focus to Franklin. Yes, it reminds me of like the ghosts in like old Scooby-Doo movies.
Yeah.
And they scared me so bad when I was a kid. So he's changing his focus to Franklin and he's chasing him. Reed comes back out of the cold world with a copy of himself and confronts Modulus with it. Modulus is angry and starts destroying everything in the room, all the technology. That pisses Reed off, and he's like, stop, you're going to set back technology 5 years by doing this. And Modulus keeps screaming things like, he will be my equal, I will make you my equal. Modulus says that he will continue to subtract all of the things that Reed cares about so that then only Reed will love him. And Reed says it doesn't work that way. How many times did I cry? I don't even know how many times I cried at this point. Because I'm reading back notes and I'm like, oh, I cried here. Reed says it doesn't. Where's that? Where did I get? Reed says it doesn't work that way. You're talking about a critical and elusive variable that binds carbon-based life forms to one another. It cannot be divided. It cannot be subtracted, but it is indefinable on your terms. It is unquantifiable. He tells Modulus that he understands his longing, but he will never know the love that Reed holds for his family, for his son. I mean, legitimately exquisite writing of a father. Exquisite writing of a father. Modulus then, in this moment, looks at the copy of Reed, and they touch fingers, and they kind of fuse together and go back into the code while I'm crying in my bed, reading the issue.
So during that little monologue from Reed, right? Like when you asked if they Pedrified it, or earlier the question you asked me,
Yes.
this felt like it could have been written for Pedro Pascal. And as you were reading it back to me, I was like, "Yep, I could see Pedro saying this. I could see Pedro as Reed saying this."
So everything that I have read of Reed, of Fantastic Four since we became friends, every time I read Reed, I hear Pedro. Like in my brain, that's his voice. That's who I see. Oh, this 100%, you're right. Like, I never want to see him do this or anything like this because I'll just be ugly crying.
I mean, he kind of did though, even in the film when he did the press conference, and he was just kind of like there because they were like, "Well, did we get rid of Galactus?" And he was like, "No." And they were like, "Why?" He was like, "Because they wanted my son, and I'm not gonna give them my son." And I was like, "Yep."
I was at Walmart yesterday. Or Friday, maybe Friday, picking up some stuff, and I went to the DVDs, and the First Steps was there, and I was like, "No, stop! I'm so behind on my Marvel Blu-ray, so I didn't get it. Plus, it was not the cover I wanted. I want the 4K cover. The 4K cover is beautiful, but I've thought about it over and over again since then. I'm like, I really want to rewatch it. Maybe we should rewatch it and take notes and like do a little mini episode talking about it. Maybe sometime.
That would be fun.
I'd
like
love to
that.
have just an in-depth conversation with you about it. Anyway, back to the plot. After they go back into the code, Reed is holding Franklin, who is sobbing, trying to say, I love you. He just keeps going, I love, and Reed just says, I love you too. The issue ends with Sue, Johnny, Ben, and Val having lunch in the kitchen while Reed and Franklin play what seems to be Magic the Gathering or something similar.
It does.
Yeah,
so
up in his bedroom, and it was sweet and adorable, and it was just a great little end to the arc. I love Reed Richards. Like I love Reed Richards, and this arc really is it just it's a 3-issue arc. It was just so great for his character. It's just so great for his character. So in Ryan North's current run, I feel like the kids have been in it maybe 3 times, not much at all. Like they were in that little arc at Ben's aunt's house, or that little issue that was more about Alicia. And then they've shown up here and there since. But I feel like in those issues, I didn't really get to spend time with Reed as a father. And so to read him here, I'm just going to, like, this podcast is just going to be me talking about how much I love Reed Richards if I keep going. So I'm going to stop. But
no, why? That's the whole point of the podcast.
I know. I'm just very emotional about dads lately. And he's just a really good dad. I also can feel myself getting more emotional the more I talk about it. So I'm going to have to pull it back. I'm going to have to stop.
Okay. That's fine.
Issue 65. The next issue begins with Ben coming face to face with the bug that hitched a ride on the ship back in issue 60, the little interdimensional traveler, and it's fucking huge. And he's
How did you
scared.
feel about the art change?
I didn't notice it.
You didn't notice the art change?
This is the moment that I'm realizing there was an art change. Show me, because I was so locked in. I'm very much a dialogue emotion person first versus
So
art.
this is the last page of the last issue, right?
Okay.
And then this is the first page of the.
Maybe I'm just dumb. Show me
Here,
one more
let
page.
me. Yeah, I'm gonna show you one with everybody on it. Here we go. This is a good one.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, I guess it wasn't enough to be jarring to me. Like, I guess my brain didn't perceive it as bad, so I just didn't think about it. Do you
It
like
wasn't
the art
bad.
change?
It was so it's Mark Buckingham's art, who also does like the Fables.
Okay.
And I like Fables. Right? I like his art in Fables. I'm pretty sure he does the art in Fables. I know he writes it. I don't know if he does the art. Anyway.
That sounds familiar.
But I just love Mike Ringo's art. So when we just like changed from his art to Mark Buckingham's, I was like, oh. So to me, it was because I just I don't know. It was just a little jarring to me because I could definitely tell there was an art change, but obviously artists need a break.
Yeah.
I didn't
Is it
think
just for
was
this
bad.
little arc?
Yeah.
Okay.
So don't get me wrong. I don't think it's bad, right? I was just like, oh, we have change artists. So I was just wondering what your thoughts were.
I think I was just so locked in. Like I just no,
fair.
but also when I finished that last arc, I didn't immediately start small stuff, big stuff. So I think there were 2 days between that. So maybe that's why I didn't notice.
Okay.
Maybe that's what it was. So yeah. Whoa, how did I get all the way back up to 61? Issue 61. This is 65, right? Yes.
Yes.
So this bug is huge. And Ben is freaking out. He's basically destroying the apartment, trying to get away from it and find something big enough to kill it. He picks up the couch from the living room while telling Reed and Sue what's going on. I love Ben. I love that he is used so much for comedy in this. I'm excited to get more into like the nitty gritty of like his emotions and his brain, but I enjoy that he is so much of the comedic relief right now. Meanwhile, Johnny is on his way to the city to try to get to the meeting where he's going to sell the unstable molecules to that guy from the pool party with his coworker, Jean? Do you know how to say her name?
I could say Gian.
Gian. Okay. With his coworker Gian. Traffic is really bad, so he just grabs her and they fly there. Back at the lab, Sue gets a phone call from Johnny's shitty coworkers, Ethan and Christy, informing her that he's about to sell the unstable molecules, and she starts crashing out about it, understandably. And she asked Reed about it, and Reed's like, yeah, I gave them to him. It was your idea to put him in charge of the business, so we gotta trust him. And Sue is so mad. She tells the shitty coworkers to stop Johnny before he makes that sale, and they do classic 2000s Verizon, can you hear me now bullshit, where they're like, we can't hear you, and hangs up on her. And so she's like, you know what? I'll go myself. And she runs her ass out of there to go find Johnny. So that leaves Reed and Ben trying to figure out where this big ass bug is, because it is somehow managed to stay hidden from the detection protocols set up in the house by Reed. And Reed has the idea to shrink Ben down a little bit and put him through the air duct system to see if he can find the bug. I love little tiny Ben, or little mid-sized Ben. I just love Ben. I love them all. I'm going to say that a lot during this whole thing, clearly. Back at the meeting, Johnny presents the fabric to the cheesy guy named Schwarty and tells him that they won't tell him how the fabric is made, but they will provide the fabric so that they can be sold to firemen and policemen. And the guy immediately leaves and takes it to a lab and tells them to reverse engineer that shit so they can figure out how to make it themselves without buying it from the Fantastic Four. Back in the air ducts, Ben is crawling along and finds the big bug, and it is like big. It's so huge that with his new small size, he can't hold it off, and it starts to try to beat his ass, and he tells Reed that he's in big trouble. Reed's like head is like stretched around the air duct at this point, and the way that I love seeing Reed stretchy, and I love that it's often used for comedy as well. The gross out gags that we've seen like on the internet and that you've shown me, I'm growing to love them, but I just love the visual of like Ben being attacked by this bug while Reed's long ass neck is like around the corner. Just very, very funny to me. Back at the other lab, the skeezy guy and his scientist are using a microscope to look at the unstable molecules, and they find a note that Reed, or Johnny, has left in the molecules that says, if you read this, you have just violated our contract. And then the fabric starts to attack them. Johnny appears and is like, haha, we tricked you, because he had a feeling that they were going to try to steal from them. And Johnny then reveals to Ethan and Christy that he knew all along what they were trying to do and, to show how actually smart he is, because he knew that even if they had figured out the code, they wouldn't be able to afford the unstable molecules because they are grande expensivo. I was like, okay. It was like the first time kind of in this run so far where we got to see Johnny being smart in the name of being petty, and I really vibe with that a lot. Then another scientist runs out of the lab and says that the other piece of stolen sample that they had is attacking them. Turns out they stole Johnny's wallet, I guess at the pool party when the monster attacked back in a couple issues ago. And the wallet also is attacking, and it essentially has killed a man. It's like taken over his molecules and changed them around, and he's like in a pile of man on the floor. Like it's gross and scary. Yeah, it's really gross. The body horror, man. And it's like, I mean, I say horror. It's not horror. It's like, it's not drawn to be disgusting, but my brain is like computing it. Like, nope. Don't like puddle of man.
It's pretty gross. It's pretty gross.
And that's the end of issue 65. Issue 66 immediately opens with Johnny telling Gian that they need to run, and that the man who was attacked by the fabric is essentially no longer a man, and they need to focus on saving everyone else. They get everyone out, and Johnny says that the molecules will just keep expanding because there's no range limit to its reaction, and basically it's going to take over New Jersey if they don't hurry the hell up. So he flies off. Back at the tower, Ben and Reed are still trying to fight this big-ass bug, and it is kind of fucking them up. It busts through a wall and destroys the bathroom, and Ben is like, Susie's bathroom, she's gonna be so mad at me. Very funny. Reed tries to use the shrink ray on the bug, but the machine doesn't work. I loved this moment. Then we cut to Sue, who's speeding down the road in this really sexy little sports car trying to get to Johnny to stop the cell in time. When Johnny drops Gian from the air above the car to the car and tells her to take over the wheel, and grabs Sue and flies her back to the lab. He tells Sue that she's the solution to a problem back at the lab with the unstable molecules. Back at the tower, the shrink ray is not working, so Reed decides that he's just going to make Ben really, really big. So that's what he does. And because of this, they're finally able to subdue the bug, with Ben being gigantic. Then we go back to the lab disaster where Johnny is asking Sue to make a gigantic force field to go all the way around the building and through the foundation of the building. And Sue just starts to let him have it. She's mad as hell about all of this, that this whole thing is happening because he took those unstable molecules, and he's like, they stole this one from me. Like, they stole my wallet during that fight. This one's not my fault. And it's not yours either, is what he tells Sue. And he tells her that she just needs to stop wasting her energy yelling at him and focus on being responsible. And Sue locks in, and she uses pretty much to the limits of her powers to seal off this building in a gigantic force field. And it seems to work for the moment. They need to get Reed, though. Sue is starting to collapse in Johnny's arms and asks if she can have an easier job next time, like, say, giving birth. And I thought that was, once again, hilarious. He tells her that she can have whatever she likes and that he loves her. Back at the tower, Reed and Ben throw the bug back through a portal to its own dimension, and Reed gets the call from Johnny telling him what's going on and says that they need him. He tells Ben that he will be back to shrink him back down to size later, and Ben is like so big that he can't even sit down, so Ben decides to try to use the shrink ray himself and shrinks himself to super duper tiny. I love the comedy in this book. I think the comedy is written expertly, and it's just, there's a lot of comedy in Marvel books that I feel like is like kind of tacky sometimes, and I think that this is just comedy in its purest form, and I'm really enjoying it. We cut then to 1 week later with Sue trying to find a new financial manager to replace Johnny. And then Johnny and his coworker Gian come into her office and show off Johnny's comprehensive financial plan. And Sue's actually really impressed with it. Johnny tells her that sticking him in the job wasn't the most rational decision that she's ever made. He says he knows it's because she wasn't mad at him for being a kid, but she was mad at herself because she thought that she raised him wrong. And he says, well, you didn't. He tells her that he wants to help the family and that everything he knows about being a good adult, he learned from her. I didn't cry this time, but I felt it. And that's where this arc ends. A really sweet little moment for Johnny and Sue.
Hey, Gare, are you ready to get into the best arc of this of what we read so far? I'm
I'm
so
very ready
excited.
to get into it. I'm
I'm
very
so
ready to get into
excited to
it.
talk about this arc with you.
Before we do go into it, I listen, we know that I am a really easily emotional person, but did you
Mm,
find yourself getting emotional throughout reading this again? Like you knew the stories. But like I know you said
I
that
did.
reading it as a mom, like the stuff with Franklin, but like did you
Hmm.
feel it like with the stuff with Sue and Johnny? Like I'm just interested like as to like what it's like to read something for a second or third or fourth time.
So all the big moments that they want to landed. I do love like being able to revisit these stories. I don't think I've read this in like 3 or 4 years, but I do like revisiting, their relationships, seeing kind of where they were in the early 2000s, seeing how they were
Mhm.
written, and seeing that they were written gr- uh, that they were written so well that it still transcends to what's going on now, right?
Mhm.
And just like the way that, again, I know I said it in the beginning that Mark Waid said that he didn't know these characters, but just in this short amount of time that he's written them, he's shown that he understands who the Fantastic Four fundamentally are, not only as like a superhero group, but like as individuals, as a family, how the relationships work with each other, with Reed and Sue, with Sue and Johnny, with Johnny and Ben, Reed and Ben, everybody. He just seems to understand how to write them in such a good, compelling way that can also bring across the emotion on the page. And I think sometimes for writers, that's hard. It's easier for artists, but to get that 1-2 punch with the art and the artist to be able to make you feel and like evoke that emotion in yourself as you're reading it, I think is just fundamentally amazing. But revisiting these stories has been honestly really, really fun. This Doom arc that we're about to get in was a lot.
Yes.
I forgot how much of a lot it was, but and again, it comes back to Mark Waid. He understands who Doom is, and I said it I think in a video one time. He made Doom scary again. Like Doom would
Mhm.
show up and he would like be involved in the books, but he wasn't genuinely scary. And Mark Waid made him very, very scary.
Yeah, he is very scary in this. He is very scary in this. I love to hear that though about like you saying that, especially after you reading that letter to me, of saying that he understands all of these characters at their cores. Because like after that letter, I was like, I wonder how that translates to someone who has read them as much as you have. And like I knew that it was your favorite run, but I wondered like how different they were from like the mythos that came before this. So I love to hear that affirmation from you that he does just get them intrinsically. I think
Hmm.
that's really, really cool.
I do think that it helps though that most of the like his cast around him, so like the inker and the artist and the publisher, not the publisher is Marvel, the whoever else is involved in the book, the production people and everything,
Mm-hmm.
they were all huge Fantastic Four fans as well. So I think having them around helped a lot. But I do like, I mean, it's still Mark Waid is the writer, so he still has to understand them. And at the end of the day, and having
Mm-hmm.
everybody else around you understand who these characters are does help. So I do also remember in the letter that I read that he said that sometimes they all fought like brothers, and so
Mm-hmm.
I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, so I don't know. It's just it's my favorite run, and as I said before, I'm glad that you're really enjoying it, and I'm glad that it's coming across as a good story as someone who hasn't read as much
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic.
And it is. And it is, I will say. I wasn't prepared for how hype that I was gonna get during this Doom arc. Like it was very hard to stop reading, and I'm glad that I saved it for today and wasn't planning on like trying to read it earlier this week because it's so fresh on my mind. And I had a lot
Mm-hmm.
of big feelings as I read it. So let's get into it.
Well,
Go
hey,
ahead.
give me one more second. I almost cut our reading list and cut this arc in half just to like make you wait a week. And then I was like, I can't do that. I can't
The
do that.
way the I would have just kept going. I couldn't have. Like it's that good. That's
Well, and that
see
was the
earlier
problem.
today you texted me. What did you say in the text? You like purposely ended it where you did, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
Doom, because that was very Victor of you. Because I even when I finished this arc, I just kept going. I love that. Oh, that is so cool, Victor.
No, so that was the problem, right? When I was trying to figure out where to cut the reading list, is that this is such this is one of the bigger arcs of his run, right? And it's a 5 issue arc. And there was no way for me not to like I couldn't we couldn't read like 6 issues this week and then, and so I was just like, well, we're just have to read 12.
I'm glad that that's what you did, though. Getting to spend this much time with him this week makes me very excited for next week, even though it's only, is it 7 issues next week or 8? It's not.
I think it's 7.
Already it feels like it's not enough. But you spread them out perfectly because we end the month, like, I think we only do 7 for the rest of the time. So it's kind of perfect. But I can't promise that I'm not just going to keep going, you know?
And that's, you know what? That's fine. That doesn't bother me at all.
So issue 67, this serves as a prologue for the next arc, which is called Unthinkable. It gives us a little backstory on Doom that, correct me if I'm wrong, that it's a side of him that I guess we didn't really know about him before this run.
I mean, not quite as in depth as this, right? Like there have been hints and like panels and pages of like Doom is a gypsy, Doom is is from Latveria, Doom is all of these things. This is, I think, at least the first time I can remember, except for like the annual #2, which gives you the Doom backstory, that I can think of that really kind of like delves into Doom himself.
Okay, so at this point in Doom's backstory, his mother has already passed. His father is still alive, and he's a teenager. I would guess probably around 16, 17 here was my guess. When it starts, we see an adult Victor making his way from psychic to psychic, trying to find the old love of his life from his childhood, Valeria. He's made his way to the state of Georgia in the United States, not the country, and is basically in this tourist trap area talking to fortune tellers to see if they can help him find her, because this is where her trail leads to. As he talks to each of these psychics, and fortune tellers, we as the audience get to see a little bit more of his story with Valeria. We see them as teenagers falling in love in the fall. We see him give her this music box that he made by hand as a gift. We see his father die and Valeria becoming the only person in his life that means anything to him. But because of his father's death, he finally has access to his late mother's things as well. And that's when he discovers that she was a sorceress. So he starts to teach himself the dark arts of magic at night while pursuing new technologies of science during the day. And as he got smarter, he started creating new inventions to help the people in his town and the people that he loved. But because word of this traveled, somehow it got to America, and this scientific genius in Latveria, and an American comes to offer him several scholarships, provided that he is willing to come to America to study. He wants to take the scholarships in America and leave his homeland, but Valeria begs him to stay. She has familial obligations and can't leave. He tells her that knowledge brings power, and he promised her that science and nothing else would further deliver them from the cruelty so willfully heaped upon them by lesser men, and yet, despite their love, she puts forth an ultimatum to him. He has to choose either this new road or the life that they knew already together. Whichever one he selected, he had to leave the other one behind. So he did. He went to America and left her behind forever. We then get to see a little bit of like where he's there and like how the academic rival tampered with an experiment that he had and disfigured his face. I have asked Marsh about this because it was just one page and I don't really know the details of that story. Because at first I was like, did Reed do this? But I don't think Reed did it, right? It wasn't Reed. It was just some other rando, or was it Reed?
Okay, hold on. That's Doom's version of events, right? So
Okay.
he did do this experiment in college, and it was against all, basically what his experiment was is he was trying to bring his mother back. He thinks his mother's in a hell dimension, and he was trying to bring her back. Reed went over his equations and everything, and was like, hey man, some of this is wrong, you probably need to fix some of these numbers. And Doom, being Doom, was like, you're a fool, you don't know what you're talking about. So Doom doesn't take the advice from Reed. The device explodes in his face, and he blames Reed for tampering with his experiments, and that is why his face is disfigured.
Okay, I'm gagged. First of all, I didn't know that the experiment was to bring his mom back. Did not know that. Second, he did not mention Reed by name. He just said an academic rival. And so, as someone who did not know that, I was just like, nah, ain't no way. Ain't no way Reed did this. And I love that you said that this is Doom's version of events, because very much I felt bad for him. And I was like, fuck this guy, whoever he is. Chad over
Yeah.
here. It's not Chad, it's Reed. That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay. Wow. Wow. So yeah, he wears a mask all the time now. Also, speaking of him wearing a mask, I love the way that Doom is drawn while he's visiting these fortune tellers. Like he's in his little suit and he just has this silver mask on that doesn't look like his typical Doom mask, and it's low-key kind of sexy, and I don't know why. I do not know why. I'm also struggling with how attracted to Doom I am, especially the more I learn about him and the more evil he becomes. I'm like, God, I cannot wait to talk to my therapist about this on Wednesday, because I'm gonna have to bring it up and be like, I have fallen for yet again another toxic man.
Also, real quick, it wasn't to bring his mom back. It was just to communicate with her. Just so I don't get,
Okay.
so people don't come at me in the comments. There, just
Listen, and they will.
gonna put that
They
out there.
will. I've been swatting them away left and right all weekend. So we go back to present Doom, and he's visiting this last fortune teller, and he reveals that he knows that Valeria knows full well the man that he has become and has been purposely hiding from him ever since. And this fortune teller says to him that the woman he seeks is just down the street, and that she is in fact waiting for him. So he goes down the street and finds Valeria, and she is much older. Also, I want to say this. The way that they drew them as teenagers, they were both so beautiful and they were so in love. And it just made me sad. It made me very sad for him that his life turned out the way it did. But it was also, again, his version of events. So he definitely, as he's telling this story to each fortune teller and us, he is very much painting himself as the victim. And I fear that I have fallen for it, and I'm going to have to talk to my therapist about that too.
He is forever the victim. Okay, he
Okay.
is forever the victim.
Good to know.
It's never his fault.
So fun. So fun. This ain't even a 3D man. This is a 2D man on a page, and I fell for it again. Anyway, Valeria says to him, "You were not supposed to find me." He tells her that he means her no harm and offers her a gift. It's a locket with photos of them from when they were teenagers, and it makes her emotional. And it made me emotional. I'm pissed. I'm actually kind of pissed right now that you have pulled back the curtain on Jeff Goldblum for me. Oz, I'm so mad. He tells her that he loves her and begs for her to come back to him. And she's like, I don't love you anymore. The boy that I knew is gone. He no longer exists.
And
He's
she's not
replaced
wrong.
Yeah, she's really not. He's replaced by a man evil with a name that only good men can barely even whisper. Again, Mark Waid eats it up with the writing. I was like, you better. Again, I stay so hyped during this arc. Victor tells her that Doom isn't there and that he'll never be seen again if she'll just be with him. He tells her that he came to her without his armor, without his protection, and he takes his mask off to show her his true face. And I was like, oh my God, this man. We don't see it. It's in the shadows, by the way, everyone.
So I remember when I read this for the first time, and much like you, I was like, okay, yeah, all right, Doom, I see you. You're like turning over a new leaf, like all of these things.
Mm-hmm. Alas. He tells her that he made the fateful choice when they were young, and it led him down a path that he regrets, and he wants the chance to choose again. She continues to tell him no, that the love she had for him is gone, but he says, but you're looking upon my true face and you don't flinch. That tells me that a part of you still loves me. And he tells her that he is prepared to denounce science and all of its form if she will just take his hand and give him another chance. And then he presents her with the same music box, or a replica of the music box that he made for her when they were teenagers. She starts to see that boy again that she loved. She tells him that she is confused, but there's so much more to discuss, and he says that he understands. To just tell him, to just say the words that there's a chance for them. And she tells him that there certainly is. And when she does this, he says, excellent, and starts to pull the life force out of her body with magic. He tells her that his life is changing, that when he was young, he made the fateful choice of science over sorcery, and he wanted to choose again. He tells her that he made a deal with some nether demons that could only succeed if he offered them something of indescribable value, something irreplaceable, like love. So he traded her soul to be able to accelerate his magic ability. And we see this woman's skin melt from her bones until we're only left with the skeleton of her on the ground. Dr. Doom is back and Valeria is dead. And that is the end of the issue. And I was so gagged and I was so mad, but I also was like, this is cool as fuck. Like I was like, this is where the terrifying comes in that you had talked about. Like genuinely horrific.
Yeah.
Horrific.
Like I said, when I first read it, I was like, oh, okay. All right, Doom, you had me in the first half and you lost me in the second half. Like poor Valeria. Also, why did she age so poorly?
Hey, listen, she was out in the sun a lot. In that village,
sunscreen.
he got to go to America and be inside of buildings with Reed Richards, and she was just in the sun working in the fields. So yeah, no sunscreen. She aged just like me. Anyway, issue 68 starts, and we get to catch back up with the Fantastic Four. Johnny is avoiding giving Ben his paycheck for some reason, probably just to be petty. So Ben, he's a child. So Ben creates a giant thing water balloon and throws it on Johnny, who is sunbathing on a roof. This was hilarious. This was very funny. I love the comedic relief that we get. That was very needed after seeing Valeria turn into just bones.
It's valid.
Wild. Meanwhile, Sue and Reed are in another dimension, mining photonuclear crystals, photon batteries, if you will. And while they're there, they talk about how Reed still doesn't know why the spiders came out of Valeria's eyes a few issues back. And she was like, what if it's magic? So he's like, what if it's magic? I know you don't like this, but what if it's magic? And he's like, but I don't believe in magic. That is not real. I love how committed he was to this.
But it is. It's so real.
And she's like, what about all the times we've interacted with magic? And he's like, nope, it's just some science I haven't started to figure out yet. And he's not fully wrong.
It's so crazy to me.
Agreed.
That's even something that's come up today, like today's books too, where he still doesn't believe in magic. And I'm like, dude, you literally had to do magic. What do you mean you don't believe in magic? And, obviously Doctor Strange has magic. Doom
he
has
still
magic.
Doesn't believe in magic after this arc?
Agatha Christie.
Hey, Agatha Christie did do some magic. I've seen Doctor Who. She did do some magic. You're not wrong.
Agatha has magic. People have magic. I don't understand. Anyway.
Just, sometimes a man can be stubborn, and he's hot and he can stretch his body parts. So, let him have magic. Let him not have magic, Anyway, they get back home. And they talk through a portal to the moon to Franklin and Valeria, who are there currently being babysat by Crystal and Medusa of the Inhumans. And Crystal is like, we love them. Bring them back anytime you want. And they pulled them back through the portal to where they are. I don't really know Crystal and Medusa, other than I see them every now and then, and I think that they are fabulous, design-wise. I know that a lot of people don't like the Inhumans. But the idea of choking someone with your hair... I did know that. I did know that because it was referenced in maybe one of the North issues that I read.
Okay.
Potentially. Something I was reading, it was referenced that Johnny's old girlfriend Crystal was an Inhuman. And I was like, okay, well, I know her. She's also in that little game that I play. And I use Medusa to choke people with her hair. Fab.
Yeah, sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you as you were talking about choking people with Medusa's hair. My fault.
You're so good. You're so good. So they pull them back through the portal and we see some cute, happy family moments. A soaking wet Johnny convincing Reed to help him prank Ben back. We see Sue giving Ben $20 because he has no money because Johnny won't pay him. Ben and Sue have a conversation about how Valeria doesn't have any powers, that they're just happy that she's safe. Sue does say that she still feels nauseated that Victor Von Doom had to help deliver her. Marsh, please give a brief description of this birth for me, is what the note says.
Oh,
but you already did that. You already did that. But it's just very funny that that's in the middle of my paragraph. They look adoringly at Val in the next room, who's being really cutie, and she's playing with her blocks. But what they don't know is that Dr. Doom is currently on one side of the blocks talking to Val. And he's like, hey, Val, I'm Dr. Doom. I'm your godfather. Or at least I call myself your godfather. And then he monologues to her. And this is crazy. How old is Val here? One? Not even one yet?
If that.
He monologues to her about helping deliver her. And he's like, I had to help deliver you because your dad, not smart enough to do it because he tried to help your mom before and she had a miscarriage. He literally brings up the miscarriage to this child on a block. Crazy work. And he was like, the only condition is that you name her Valeria after the ex-love of my life, someone very close to me. He then reveals that when she was born, he did a little magic and made her his familiar so that he is forever bound to her and he can see through her eyes. She is his conduit for his sorcery. And he tells her that he's planning to kill her father by the end of the day. And he says, let it begin. And it does begin because down in the lab, while Reed, Johnny, and Franklin...
Val's just chilling, by the way. She's just like, what?
She is. She's just like, cool.
Fuck? Okay, sorry.
I think it's so diabolical of Doom to appear this way on that block. Again, Mark Waid is hilarious. He's so smart. Who thinks of that? There he is. Old Vic. So down in the lab, Reed, Johnny, and Franklin are planning the prank for Ben when all of a sudden some green magic comes out of the tech that they are using and starts to chase Franklin. Reed shouts through the portal to the Inhumans and tells him that he's going to send Franklin through so that he's safe. But when he does go through, he doesn't go to the moon. He actually goes to hell. To actual hell. And is immediately taken by demons. Upstairs, though, Val has just said her first word. And that first word is Doom. Iconic. Absolutely iconic. And if you noticed, her eyes in that panel are blue. They're not brown. So she actually said Doom as her first word. Allegedly. Yeah. I was like, math. Iconic. The way that is drawn is just incredible. Issue 69. The next issue starts with Reed and Johnny freaking out outside of the portal that Franklin went through. Johnny tells Reed to stay behind, that he's going to go in and get Franklin. So he flies in to grab Franklin, but he fails. And the demons burn Johnny, like actually burn the Human Torch. And he says that he hasn't been burned since before he got his powers. And then he shrieks in pain. And we see, go ahead. Show the leg. I'm not going to look, but show them the leg because it is horrific. I looked. I was gagging.
So I'm pretty sure why he got burned was because it's not actual fire, it's hellfire.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of fire.
Yeah. Horrific. Sue, Ben, and Valeria rush down to the lab and Reed fills them in on what has happened. So Sue is also now freaking the hell out, telling Reed to do something. And Ben is basically like, it's Dr. Doom. Your daughter said it's Dr. Doom. And so Reed then looks into Val's eyes and realizes her eyes are not blue, but they are either brown or this like red type color. And Reed starts shaking her and says, show yourself. Sue's like, you're scaring her. And then Doom starts talking through Valeria's body and says, soon enough,
scary
Richard.
Is that?
Soon enough. Literally like a horror movie. Anything with babies and children gonna freak me out so bad every time. And this was, again, 2D on a page. And I was like, absolutely not. Get that baby out of here. Like, the eyes changing color, her going, soon enough, Richards. Also, is it in his voice or is it in a baby voice? Either way,
I don't know. Either way, scary, right?
Yep. Back in Latveria, Doom is talking to the 3 demons that gave him the magical acceleration about his plans to take over the world with magic, and they are very happy that they made the deal with him. And they're like, don't forget that you owe this to us. And he's like, we are allies. You are not my master. And they're like, okay, Victor. And that's basically that scene. Back at the tower, the team is getting ready to fly to Doom in hopes of getting Franklin back. Reed has put some stuff on Johnny's leg that numbs it and starts to heal it. Franklin actively running for his life in hell when the same 3 demons that helped Doom kidnap him. And so they're flying. People. He's gone through so much this arc. He's gone through so fucking much already, and it's only 12 issues.
Yeah.
So they get into the transport to fly to Latveria. Ben calls Doctor Strange to ask for help. He's like, I know exactly who to call. So he calls him, and Doctor Strange is like, nah, I already know what Doom is doing, and I don't care. That is not a priority to me. And Ben's like, what the fuck? And then they pull out, like, the panel, and you see that Doctor Strange's body is currently covered in tiny demons. He has been taken over as well. So they continue their flight to Latveria. Right as they move into the airspace, the transport stops working and they crash into the ground in a fiery explosion. But Sue saves them all with a force field and they walk out of the flames. Very badass. Very, very cool panel. And we see that Reed is wearing armor and has guns. Earlier, he said that he doesn't believe in weapons, but he would do whatever it takes to get his son back. And they walk up the hill to find Doom, surrounded by green magic, looking so evil, but also so very, very cool. And so they start to fight him. Yeah, it's so good. It's so good. And you also see them in the force field walking out of the fire. That Reed looks so cool. They all look so cool, but I love the armor on Reed and I love the gun.
That's fair.
So they start to fight Doom, but he very easily beats them one by one with his magic, and Reed has no idea how to combat him while Ben is begging him to think. And that's how the issue ends. The whole I don't believe in magic isn't real thing of it all is built up so well in this. Even though magic is very clearly real and it's just Reed being stubborn, before we get into the nitty-gritty of how everyone gets out of this, I love how Mark Waid has written this. Like, I love the build-up, and I love everything about how scary it is. Because it's genuinely, it feels scary, and the stakes feel high, even though I know that everyone's okay and alive in the present, you know?
Mm-hmm.
I'm still just, like, stressed reading it. I'm also used to everyone dying in X-Men all the time, so I'm, like, on edge, you know?
Yeah. So I think one of the main reasons that Reed has a problem believing in magic is that it doesn't have it's not logical, right? It's not a logical thing that has a point A to a point B. And to that, and in regards to that, I think it scares Reed that there isn't like a logical point A to point B, and that it means that he might not be the smartest guy in the room if he can't explain how magic works or why it works. And I think that's kind of why he's always been kind of like, magic isn't real, magic's, it's just something I haven't been able to explain yet, right? So I just think he fears that he's not going to be the smartest guy in the room, even though, 99.9% of the time he is.
Mm-hmm. He's basically Alexander Hamilton, and Dr. Doom is Aaron Burr. You have just crossed this into musical theater for me. That is, you said it and I was like, this is exactly like that one musical about America. So yeah, they start to fight it. Oh yeah, we already said that. Okay, issue 70 starts. Reed decides that the only way to stop him is to block the power source that he's getting his magic from. So he uses this electromagnetic pulse at the proper frequency to interrupt the form of energy. Sue then traps Dr. Doom in a very tight force field, and Johnny cranks up the heat to try to fry him alive. And Sue says, keep it up until he gives me my son back. And you get, like, you see, like, the fabric burning off of Doom's body. Like, he looks like they're fucking him up. And it seems like they're about to win when Doom reveals that he was just faking it and that he was never in any type of danger from them.
That was very Vanessa Kirby of this Sue, right? Because, in the film, she's very, very protective of baby Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, she's like, yeah, don't let up. You fry that bitch until he gives Franklin back. Fry him.
Mm-hmm.
But yes, you're right. It doesn't do anything.
Speaking of, this was kind of the first moment that I had seen that bite that Vanessa Kirby brings to Sue in the film that I connected to so much. Like at that moment in the film where she's talking to Reed and she gets mad about the idea of giving Franklin over, and she raises her voice and her voice gets like so deep, is such like a true like instinctive mother response, and that's kind of what I imagined while I was reading this. Vanessa Kirby was perfect.
Oh, yes.
I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
Just the absolute heart and soul of that movie. Don't get me started. See, now I might watch the movie tonight. Deadass, I might watch it tonight when we're done. I'm very Fantastic Four minded right now. So yeah, he reveals that he was faking. He was never in any danger. So wait, I put hate them and trap them all with magic? What does that mean?
So he said, basically he was like, you thought you could render me powerless, and then he uses his magic to render them powerless, and then ends up taking them to head back to his castle.
Yes.
And also taking Valeria.
Oh yeah, because he tells them that they have to surrender. And he shows them like a portal, like to see Franklin running from the demons. Mm-hmm. And he tells them that he's got Valeria in his arms, but he's showing them Franklin running from the demons. And he tells them that he will release their child if Reed says the words, I surrender. And so Reed does that. He says that, and then Doom puts Valeria down and closes the portal, and leaving Franklin in hell. And I was like, oh, that's fucked up. Like, this whole thing's fucked up. But I was like, that was just extra mean.
I mean, technically, he didn't lie. He did not lie. He let their child go. They
Yeah,
didn't
yeah.
specify which one.
Yeah. So later that afternoon, he says, "It's been an afternoon," is what he's saying to Valeria. I love that throughout a lot of this issue, he's holding Valeria and just monologuing to her. But he's like, he says, "It's been an afternoon," as he's walking her through this room where we see golems beating up Ben, who has been suspended upside down with magic. We see bits of his rock, his teeth, and blood, piles of blood on the ground beneath him. He's taken away Sue and Johnny's powers, and he's like currently stretching Johnny out like Reed. Reed's in a lot of, not Reed, Johnny's in a lot of pain, but then he's not in as much pain as your mother is, though. And we see Sue trapped in a pentagram on fire. But she can feel the flames, is the thing. It's not killing her, but she can feel all the pain that you would if you were on fire and you weren't Johnny Storm.
Like, how crazy, how evil is that? Okay, like, let's talk about how evil that is. You've seen evil villains, right? But like, this takes it to like the extreme. Like, you have to hate them to do something like that, right? And that just shows how much hatred he has, not only just for Reed, but for the whole family. And I just the way that Mark Waid can portray that hatred for the whole family is just so great. But like, it also hurts.
Yeah, and like the way that they drew that panel of Sue on fire, like you can see the pain on her face. I was like, they're cooking in a crazy way with the writing and the art in this, but God, like I can't wrap my brain around like him leaving, like not letting her die, but like letting her feel the pain, like to where she would probably want to die, because of how much pain she was in. That's so fucked up. So
that's Doom.
Meanwhile, Doom has Reed locked in this like big room and tells him that if he can find the spell, it's a library. He tells him that if he can find the spell to unlock the door, that he can come out and get Franklin, I think is what he says to him. But the kicker is this library is massive, like endless. So Reed gets to work looking through different books, and he's angry because he doesn't understand any of it. And he's admitting that he's not smart enough to save Franklin, when all of a sudden a message burns into the ground that says, "Knowledge isn't everything -S." And I thought it was Sue that left this message because of the S and the fire. And I was like, y'all are so smart to trick me this way, because the last time I saw her, she was on fire. How is she doing this? Surprise, not her. And the next issue, which is issue 500, the final issue of this arc, the final issue of what we read this week. And I will say maybe the best issue that we read this week, because I was so fucking hype and I was sad that I read it so fast. Reed is pondering the message on the ground when books and papers start flying all around him, and we see the astral spirit of Doctor Strange start to climb out of one of the spell books. And he starts talking to Reed through broken English, and we can tell that he's begging Reed to say an incantation to let him in. Reed somehow knows this incantation. I don't know much about Doctor Strange, but I was like, how does Reed know what to say if he doesn't know magic? Do you know the answer to this?
I don't know a lot about Doctor Strange either. He's like one of the next characters I kind of want to read more about, actually.
Okay. I think this might be, no, it's not the first time I've ever read Doctor Strange, but it's like one of the first times I've read Doctor Strange in the last like 10 years. I've read him here and there in like little things. I think I read a couple of issues of Strange Academy, but I really liked him in this.
Maybe it's in the book. Maybe it's in the book that he's trying to come out of. Maybe because like he's looking at the book. I don't. That's my guess.
Okay. Well, Reed somehow knows it and says it, and he says it kind of weird. Doctor Strange comes out of the book and is free to talk to him. And Reed's like, "Hey, I need to know how to do magic, and I need you to teach me magic." So after he tells him this, we cut back to Doom. The other three are still being tortured while Doom monologues to Valeria. He tells her that it pains him to see them as marionettes strangled by the strings of their puppeteer. That was verbatim what he said. But he tells her it's too late to let them go because he and Reed have now reached the end game of his plan. So, cutting back to the library, Strange tells Reed that he cannot teach him there because Doom could sense his presence at any moment. So he gives Reed a spell to transport them to his Sanctum Sanctorum, and Reed starts to say it, and Strange tries to help him say it, but Reed just kind of like pushes through and just says it really loud, and so he does not transport them to the Sanctum Sanctorum. He transports them into the middle of a busy street in New York, about 70 feet from the Sanctum Sanctorum, and they almost get hit by a car. And we see a really funny to me scene of Reed talking to this astral projection of Doctor Strange being kind of rude to him, while the crowd that has helped Reed up off the ground is like, what the fuck, man? We're just trying to help you. And he's like yelling at Doctor Strange, and they can't see Doctor Strange. And I just was like, y'all are so funny. Thank you for including this. It's the only comedy in the whole arc. Doctor Strange tells him that he said the spell with too much conviction and tries to force it. They make it to the sanctum, and Doctor Strange shows Reed a look at Franklin in hell right now. He's still alive, but he's still being tortured. And Reed is like, we have to get him out of there. And Doctor Strange tells him that he doesn't have the skill yet, that they first must free those within reach. And he asks him to draw him a pentagram. Reed does so, and we see the rest of the Fantastic Four in excruciating pain because of this pentagram. And Reed is like, it's not working, I'm torturing them. And Doctor Strange tells him to listen more carefully and put aside his analytical nature, because if he's going to learn anything and save everyone, he's got to let go of that. Strange tells him that magic is not an endeavor for know-it-alls, and that how it works is not nearly as important as it actually working. Again, Mark Waid eating it up with the writing. And that Reed simply must accept the existence of it instead of trying to force magic to fit into his logical world. He tells him that the magic will not work for him until he removes his ego from the equation. Doctor Doom, back with Doctor Doom, he's like wondering how Reed could have gotten away, and he realizes that Doctor Strange must be helping him. And Doctor Strange realizes this around the same time. And so Doctor Strange magically creates this like magic conduit for Reed to use that looks like a giant ring, kind of, because he knows that they're out of time. He tells Reed that he has to find the magic words to get this thing to work, and as he's talking to him about it, Doctor Doom rips him into hell, and so Doctor Strange is now down in hell with Franklin and these demons. Very inopportune timing. So Reed tries to start using the conduit, and he starts shouting magic words like Alakazam and Abracadabra, and nothing's working. And he gets angry, and he goes, "I'm an idiot!" And then the magic starts to work. I thought that was very, very funny. I don't think Reed's an idiot at all, but I love the idea that Doctor Strange would create something with the spells just be Reed insulting himself. Yeah. I think that's hilarious. Okay. I don't really know what their dynamics are like at any other point, but I was like, this is very Steven from what I've seen in the movies. He seems snarky. Doom has had enough and decides that he's taking Valeria to Reed in New York, so he transports them to Manhattan. He breaks into the sanctum and he screams, "Where are you?" And then we see Reed and the rest of the Fantastic Four, and he says, "Where I belong with the rest of my family." Reed has used the magic to rescue them and restore them. So Reed blasts Doctor Doom with this little conduit, and Sue uses a force field to steal Valeria back from him in a little tiny force field bubble. Reed then stretches across the city and drops Valeria off in a daycare and is like, "Take care of her, she's had a really bad day." And that shit cracked me up so bad. The rest of the team are fighting Doom. Sue is using really cool, her force fields in a really cool way. They look like, yes, right there. They look like Doc Ock arms coming out. They've got claws. It's so sick. Sue is so sick.
But like the way she puts it in like through his eyes and through his mouth, I was like, Sue, holy shit.
Yeah.
You're like out here for blood, which I get. I understand, right? Mm-hmm. But like, damn.
It was insane. Like, and then Ben's punching him through the ground. Reed shows back up and blasts him with magic again, shouting out spells like, "I'm an imbecile, I'm a fool, I'm a chimp." And then Doom says, "You're being too kind," and attacks him with the magic. He throws Ben and Sue up against the wall, contorts Sue's body against the wall, while making roots start growing out of Ben as if he is like earth. And it's horrific.
That has to hurt.
He is all about the pain, like making them feel incredible pain. And the way they drew it was scary. Throughout all of this, we don't really know where Johnny is because Sue has made Johnny invisible. And then Dr. Doom realizes that and is like, "Reveal him," or "Reveal yourself." And Johnny's like, "Okay," and does, and like supernova blast him, or tries to. And Dr. Doom kind of coughs and is like, "That was your best shot," and then like insinuates that Johnny has never been much of a threat to him anyway. Reed starts to try to do more magic, but then Doom closes his mouth with like this collar thing around his mouth to stop him. But I think that Reed, tell me if I'm wrong, does Reed thinking the words just make the magic work, or is it because he just understands the magic now? Is that why he can do it without saying the spell?
I don't know. Maybe it's love for his children. It could be the last desperate attempt to, like, knowing, like, this is the final moment. If I can't get this to work, I can't not only save my family, but I can't save my children.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I read it. Is like, because like everyone's looking at him kind of like defeated, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think he realizes, like, this is it. This is the last moment we can attempt to defeat Doom.
Well, that big old blast is the biggest one he's done so far.
Mm-hmm.
And he knocks Doom into the sky, and he tells the rest of the team to wait for his signal. They make their way to Doom for the final showdown. Reed tells Doom that he overestimated him, that they actually have no use for him because they need to get Franklin back, and Doom can't retrieve him because he doesn't have the power to do so. This really makes Doom mad, and he tells them that they have no idea what his limits are. Reed says that magic is like a tapestry, and Dr. Doom sees himself as the needle and the thread. But nothing could be further from the truth. He tells him that he pities him, that he'll never be anything more than a mid-level magician. He's too prideful, and that he will never rise above mediocrity. That he's obliged to superior forces, and that he owes them all of his accomplishments to those demons. And Doom is like, I'm not indebted to anyone, which summons the demons because they told him not to forget that without them, he could do nothing. And they're like, bitch, we're dragging you to hell. You just broke the contract, essentially, is what I read from it. So they appear and they drag him through the portal to hell. Johnny, Sue, and Reed take advantage of this and fly through the portal to rescue Doctor Strange and Franklin. They're about to leave when Doom is begging Reed to help him. He tells him that he's sorry, and Reed looks at him astonished and is like, "You're lying." And I'm about to talk about all of the stuff, like the conversations between Doom and Reed after I'm done with this. But that moment of the way that he looks at him and says that you're lying, I was like, you didn't need anything else. Like, they are so, like, 100% on top of this writing. It just works so well. Reed says that you don't think I know by now that after all the misery and pain you've caused us over the years, that all you ever wanted was for me to live in the shadow of your genius. But I swear to you that I will spend the rest of my life forgetting you. And Dr. Doom
How
says,
powerful
think
of a
again.
statement is that?
Reed
Sorry.
did nothing but eat it up. Like the monologue he did before this about magic and a tapestry, saying that he's too prideful and he will never rise above mediocrity. I was like, Reed, that is a petty king. Like, he knew exactly what to say to this man to cut him to the core and make him lose his edge. And it was just delicious to read and to read. But him saying, I swear to you that I will spend the rest of my life forgetting you, that's some Taylor Swift level, like,
That is right.
eat my words. And Dr. Doom is like, think again, and reaches out and touches Reed's face with magic. And the issue ends with them pulling Reed. They've already gone through the portal without Reed, and they're like, he's like halfway there because he's stretched out, and they yank him back in, and they're like, are you okay? And he's looking at himself in the mirror, and we see that half of his face is disfigured in the same way that Dr. Doom's was. And that's the end of the arc. And I was like, what the fuck? Yeah, it's rough. This writing, especially in this arc, especially with Reed, just Reed as a whole in this arc is the MVP for me right now. The way that they've written him, spectacular. Just spectacular. Like, I don't really have, like, good words to say about it because I'm just so hype. I'm just so hype about it. I'm so glad that you picked this. A gift to read something this good, especially after last week. But I think even if last month's book was great, I still would be having this big of a reaction because it's just so damn good.
Well, like I said, I am super glad that you're liking it. I really, really am, because I was worried. I was like, what if I'm just hyping it up for myself? Like, what if I just think it's great, but then it's like not really great, you know? And so, like, I've been worried about that all week while you've been reading it, because you haven't really talked to me about it until like a couple days ago, and I was like, oh no, okay, all right, we're good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I started it, I was like, oh, I'm saving all of this for the pod. Because, like, we talked a lot about how much we both hated Extreme X-Men, or really were not enjoying it, because we needed to bitch about it. And with this, I was like, nope, I'm just going to let her have all of the good when we actually do the pod, because, like, it has been a blast. I'm sure that next week I will be probably more vocal, because I wanted it to be like a genuine reaction whenever we talked about it the first time. Because, yeah, no, it's great. It's great. Again, I do fear that I'm going to be buying things that it'll be fine. It'll be fine. But like,
Sorry, not sorry.
yeah, I just love them. It's also like with X-Men, there's so many characters to focus on. And I love, again, X-Men are my favorite because of the soap opera, because there are so many people. But with this, like just focusing on four of them and really getting to dig into their characters, because it's not like big battles left and right. Like you really get to dig into who they are outside of the superhero work. I just love reading characters. I love reading dialogue. I love digging into the psyches of these characters and like what they're going through. And so like in these first 11, 12 issues, we got to talk about like Sue's not trauma per se, but like Sue's insecurities about mothering her little brother like from a very young age and worrying about what kind of man he's become. We've gotten to dive into a little bit into Ben's insecurities about never being able to go back home in the way that he did, the way that he had his whole life before. We got to dig into Reed's guilt. We got to dig into Reed's fatherhood and like a reminder of like how important spending time with your kid is, and like while being like the savior of the world. Like it's just we got to see Johnny become more of a man. Like there's just so much that they dove into throughout this, but still served the action and still like served an incredibly scary villain. Like that actually felt like it had stakes because it was like Doom in a way that they had never really seen before with all this new magic and Reed having to adjust and learn something that he doesn't believe in. I don't know. Just a spectacular first part. And I'm also like as hype as I am, I'm kind of sad that it's such a short run. Like it's how many 36 issues? 46 issues?
Yeah.
36.
It's like 30,
like
36.
Yeah,
it's really
just kind of sad. It's yeah. Did he come back and do another run or is this the only run he did?
This is the only run he did.
Damn.
This is it.
Okay. I can't really point to any Mark Waid that I've read before other than this. That's all I was going to say.
Oh no, you're good. I read some of his Flash stuff, but what really put me onto him the first time before I knew that he wrote Fantastic Four was I read Tower of Babel, which is a Justice League story. And it's basically like where Batman has a contingency plan for everybody on the Justice League, and that's when the first time that they find out that he has a contingency plan for everyone, like kryptonite for Clark. It's been so long since I've read it, I don't really remember the whole thing, but he has contingency plans for people, and they find out and they get really upset. They get upsetty spaghetti about it, and it causes all this kinds of drama. And if Batman should be kicked out of the Justice League because he has all these contingency plans, drama. It's good. I need to read it.
How long?
Now that I've talked about it, I need to reread it.
I just wrote it down in my notes to read it. How long of an arc is it?
It's like 5 issues.
Oh, so I could like read it in one sitting. That's great news. Cool.
Yeah.
He's just such a smart writer. Like there were so many examples in this. Like so, like you read a lot of different writers and there'll be like one or two zinger moments here and there. Like he was delivering like Bible issue after issue, like just dropping some of like the best sentences I've ever read in a comic book in this run. Like what was the one that just I was like, oh, I'm so gagged over that it was like in the middle. See, I probably shouldn't go back through my notes, but like I'm pretty sure it was Reed that said it.
While you're looking it up, it's like a 4-issue arc, and I was kind of right. So Ra's al Ghul finds Batman's contingency plans for the Justice League, and he uses Batman's contingency plans against them. Is what the arc is.
He says to Modulus that, like, when he says it doesn't work that way, you're talking about a critical and elusive variable that binds carbon-based life forms to one another. It cannot be divided. It cannot be subtracted. And he's talking about love. Just exquisite.
And he doesn't specifically say love, right? But as you're reading it, that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, you know what he's talking about. And it's just, again, like, less is more sometimes. And, like, yeah, and he said at the end of this, whenever he was just like, you're lying, less is more, like it was so effective. The way they had him look directly into Doom's eyes and just say, you're lying, was powerful.
You know what's interesting is that I also remember when I first read this arc is that I thought that Reed might actually save him, Doom.
Yeah.
Because he's the good guy. That's what he's supposed to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's kind of cool to see this, I don't want to say darker side of Reed, but like this different side of Reed where he's like I'm going to take care of my family. That's my priority. You can kind of stay in hell. And it's just, I don't know. It was very powerful.
I
just love Reed
agree.
Richards.
Yeah, I do too. Not in the same way that you do, obviously, but right now I love him a lot. Yeah, I for a second I thought he was going to save him too, and I was just gagged when he. I think that's probably why the You're Lying hit so hard, because I was like, oh, he's not going to save him, and it was very, very cool. I'm very excited to continue. I'll probably like with Extreme X-Men, well, really, and with Gotham Central, I would start reading on like Thursdays. We usually record on Sundays. I probably will start tomorrow. I'm not even gonna lie. Like I have a lot of comics that I have on my list that I want to read this week. I'm probably just gonna start with Fantastic Four because I'm ready. Like I'm already ready.
One of my favorite things I think of this run is that like, and is that I love emotional fallout. That's one of my favorite things that happens in like TV, movies, comic books, whatever, is that you get to see the emotional fallout of whatever just happened to those characters. It's not glossed over. Like you get to like experience what they're going through. And mini spoiler alert, we're going to have emotional fallout, and
Hell yeah.
it's just one of my favorite things. I absolutely hate when things just like gloss over what happens, or like it never happened, or things like that. Like, no, it happened. Show me them being upset. Show me them, being depressed or upset or whatever. So I'm excited for this week as well. I'm excited for all the weeks.
Yeah, same.
But yeah,
that is something that I love in other media too. Like I've always been fascinated with. There's a book series that I read. Lord, the way that, of course, I'm going to bring it up and not remember what it's called, but it's the first book is called Every Heart a Doorway, and it's by Seanan McGuire. And it's like the idea of the concept of the series. They're each novel is about 120 to 150 pages long, and there's like 8 or 9 in the series so far. But every single story is about a different kid or a different person. And the whole concept is what happens to the chosen one after they stop being the chosen one. So like what happens to the spirited away kid when they come back. So like the idea came from, what would Alice be like after Wonderland? What would Dorothy be like after Oz? And
oh,
it's
that's
a
cool.
book series that dives into the psyche of these kids that go to these beautiful, fantastical worlds to come back to our world, which a lot of times is gray and mundane. There's a lot of beauty in our world, but like there ain't candy cane rivers, like.
Right.
And so it's just a really cool book where like a lot of these kids get sent to a school for other kids that are like them, and it's really dark and very adult. It's not like it's not fun at all. It dives into a lot of trauma. It's very good though. The Wayward Children series is what it's called, by Seanan McGuire. That's what it's called. So I'm excited about emotional fallout. That was a very long I could have just said I agree.
It's fine. No, you're fine.
Had to monologue. I guess that's my pop culture for the week. There we go. I was going to talk about Love on the Spectrum because I watched the new season of Love on the Spectrum and cried for a whole day about it because I just watched it all day. But that's my pop culture for the week. The Wayward Children series by Seanan McGuire.
Cool.
What is your pop culture?
That's a great question, Gare. I don't know. Sure, we'll just keep it on brand here. I'll talk about Daredevil #1 by Stephanie Phillips and Lee Garbett. As someone who doesn't usually read Daredevil, I've read like a handful of like Frank Miller stuff. Yeah, that book right there. I've read some Frank Miller. I really like that. I read some Mark Waid's run, and I've liked the character, but it's not like one that's like I've been like super drawn to like wanting to read about all the time. So I thought that the new Stephanie Phillips run would be a good jumping on point. And honestly, after the first issue, I'm kind of in for it. Kind of makes me want to read some more Daredevil. Kind of makes me want to know more about Matt Murdock. But I thought it was a great jumping on point. I thought it was a great first issue. Seeing Professor Murdock in as a college professor was really, really cool. Whatever love connection he has going on with the other teacher that teaches after him, here for that. And just like the art from Lee Garbett is so good.
Mm-hmm.
There's a specific panel that I've been seeing everyone talk about on TikTok, but like it's the one that stuck with me the most, and it's the one I don't remember what's being said. I need to reread it. I've only read it once, but it's like a picture, and it has like all the Daredevil suits, and that was like just like really powerful imagery, just being able to like put all the suits together in one panel. And I also just really liked that there wasn't a lot of action. Like there was just enough, right? You get the character development, you get a little bit of action, and then you get kind of what the stakes might be. And the fact that I think his name is Omen. I don't even think we
Yeah,
get a
I
name,
can't find
actually.
it. Yeah, I
I'm
can't
just
find it.
um the fact that he was looking for Murdoch in his apartment is terrifying. Like, I want to know why he was
Mm-hmm.
after Matt Murdock. Not even Daredevil, just his own like him like himself. And so like I have so many
Yeah.
questions, and it was just such a good first issue that I cannot wait till next month. So yeah, that's what I have to say about that. If you haven't read Daredevil #1, which I'm sure most of the comic community has, you should go read it. You can't pick one up right now because it's sold out. But
It's sold
second
out,
printing
baby.
comes out in May.
So happy for Stephanie Phillips. She deserves this win, and it's so good. Like, it's so good that I felt like it was too short, though. I was like, you could have given me 10 more pages, even 5, because it's a normal length book. It was just that good.
Yeah, yeah. I also am just glad about how it seems that the comic community is enjoying the book. Right. I think that was one of my, like the things that I was worried about the most is like she's writing a well-known character, people that are very protective of this character, right? And I was worried that no matter how good it was or how good other people thought it was, the die-hard Daredevil people would still be like, nope, not my Daredevil, not my writer, you know? But like seeing the community like rally behind her and just like say how great the book is, how great the art is, you know, just it's great. It's a great thing. So
I agree. The positivity is much louder than the negativity on this one, and that's really lovely.
Also,
Very excited to see what's coming.
I need you to draw Matt Murdock all the time. Thank you.
Yeah, I need you to find a way to bring that Matt Murdock to life and deliver him to my house. He is fine. Oh my God, he's so hot. And like we knew, as soon as they said Professor Matt Murdock, I was like, yeah.
Oh yeah.
My toxic needs are coming out.
But you know what's funny though, and what I've noticed, especially since I've been reading a lot more X-Men, is like I'm drawn to men in sunglasses. I don't know if this says about me on a 2D page, but this is where we are. Okay, so like you got like Scott Summers, cool, got that guy, and now we have Matt Murdock. So I have a type.
Sunglasses. So I googled Reed Richards in sunglasses, and nothing really comes up, but this picture did. And I don't know what's happening here, but I don't hate it. I don't hate it at all.
Oh, nope, I'm here for that.
What's he doing?
There was a while.
18466.
Oh, that's probably one of the Council of Reeds, probably from Hickman's run.
A council?
Yeah,
With
there's a
multiple
Council of Reeds.
reads?
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, good to know. Good to know.
Yeah, let me see. Council of. I typed in Council of, and that was the first thing that popped up. That is actually amazing. So, like, this is just like a small version. There's way more of them, but like the Council of Reeds. Focus. We're not focusing.
Yeah, I'm here for that.
There we go.
Do they need an assistant? I'm here for that.
They all have Infinity Gauntlets. Also, the difference between the 616 Reed Richards is that he chose his family, whereas every other person on the Council of Reeds sacrificed their family and didn't have a family. So that's cool.
So is Reed Richards in 616 the only good version of Reed Richards? Like every other world, he's bad.
I mean, I wouldn't say they're bad, right? They just chose science over family.
Okay. Period. Because I still like sometimes like I know that the maker is Reed Richards, but I sometimes struggle with like how Reed Richards got to the maker. You know, like what choice was made that led him there. And I guess I'll never know because I'm never finishing the Ultimate Comics on purpose. So.
You can just start back over in December.
And I won't. The last time I did that, my dad had a heart attack. I caused my dad to have a heart attack by reading Ultimate Spider-Man. Okay.
I don't think that has any correlation, but valid.
That's what the doctor said.
You're valid.
It was Mark Millar. It was Mark Millar.
Now that I can understand. Also, still really upset about that one comic that I found that sounded so good, and I saw the writer was Mark Millar, and I was like, oh, not gonna read that.
Oh shit! Before we say our goodbyes for the week, this is kind of a moot question. What score out of 10 would you give the book?
For me, I don't know, Gare. It's my favorite run of Fantastic Four. Let me think. I'm gonna give it a 10. The whole arc is going to get a 10 from me, so I'm interested to know what you're going to give it.
I mean, it's kind of perfect. So I don't really like... I feel like a 10 is really the only thing I can give it. I don't really have any critiques on it. Like, a part of me wants to be like 8, so it has room to grow. But it started perfectly. I didn't need to know anything about it. And I mean, I knew a little bit, but like I didn't need to know anything, and I cared very, very quickly. Again, it has some of the best writing, it has some of the best one-liners, some of the best monologues I've ever read in a book. Throughout all of the years of Claremont that I've read, I didn't have big ass reactions to some of the stuff that Reed said. Um,
Mm-hmm.
in Claremont's Uncanny runs. Like there are huge moments in Uncanny, like I am life, I am life incarnate, I am Dark Phoenix. It does not hit for my like therapy brain the way that Reed explaining love in a mathematical way to a code monster, or Reed telling Doctor Doom that he'll never rise above mediocrity. Like, I don't know, it's just spectacular. So unfortunately, I'm gonna have to say 10 right now. I doubt, I don't know where we're gonna go, and I don't know how you feel about every issue as a whole, but right now it's a 10. It's that good. It is actually that good, and I had that much fun. And I wish I could say that there was anything that could have brought it down, but there really wasn't. I had a great time. I had so much fun. You know how hard it is to not please me, though. I will say that. But I do think that it is as good as you said it was. Like, it's absolutely as good as you said it was.
Well, that makes my heart happy. It really does.
Yeah, it is that good. Like what I've read of North's run, for instance, I would probably put everything I've read of North at like an 8. Like it's still high, but there are things about it that I'm like, mostly due to the art. I whisper that.
Yeah, that's fair.
But
That's fair though.
this doesn't, and like I said earlier in the episode, this doesn't feel that far from the way that North is writing it. And I think that's something that I'm really enjoying, that as I'm reading Fantastic Four, is that like you don't need these big gigantic arcs. And I guess I do have a question about that, because very much like in this one, there's like 2 issues here, 2 issues there, 5 issues here, like, and all the Fantastic Four books I've read, there haven't been any big gigantic arcs building up to something.
Right.
What is that like in Hickman's run? Because isn't there just a gigantic overarching thing leading up to something big? Secret Wars, maybe?
Yeah, it leads into Secret Wars. It's Hickman. That's really all I can say about it, right? Just think about like Krakoa or any of the other big like events that he's done. It's like that. And like I said, it is a great book, and there's a reason why everybody talks about it, why everybody, you know, says you should read it. But I do think that it's a hard jumping on point for people. Like, I don't think it's the greatest jumping on point. So that's why when anybody asks me, I talk about this run, because I'm like, this is the perfect jumping on point, right? You get the family dynamic, you get everyone gets a little bit of the light to shine, and then you get that perfect Doom arc that we just read, right? So like, so you get all of those things, and yes, Doom is in Hickman's run. There's lots of Annihilus in Hickman's run. There's good things. There's great things about Hickman's run. I just think that some of the moments don't hit as hard if you don't know the characters as much.
Okay, because that's what I was gonna say, is like I've read 20 issues of like the original run. I've read like 5 to 10 issues. I don't know, somewhere between 5 and 10 issues of Burns' run. I've read as much of North's run. This was the easiest one to fall into. Like, so easy. Like, I was locked in emotionally very quickly. And like I said, through all those issues, like this was the most I've gotten to see of their own emotions. And I think that's why it clicked so much for me, and why it's so good. And I like the idea that we are going to get to dive into their psyches a bit throughout this. So I'm very excited about the emotional fallout next week. So
I would at some point like to visit Hickman's run. I think we're gonna do it. I think we talked about doing it when the Secret Wars movie comes out. We're gonna do like a whole like Hickman epic saga. But I haven't read it in like 5 or 6 years, so I would like to revisit it at some point, just to see if it still stays the same for me or not. Because like I said, everyone talks about it. Everyone talks about it. No one really talks about Mark Waid's run, and I don't know why that is.
Did they talk about it in that way before Ultimate Spider-Man?
Ultimate Spider-Man. What?
Hickman's Ultimate Spider-Man. Did they talk about Hickman's Fantastic Four the way that they do now before he wrote Ultimate Spider-Man?
I wasn't on Comic Talk then, so I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know the answer to that. I came on right around Ultimate Spider-Man to Comic Talk. I didn't know there was a community like this on TikTok, or else I would have been on it a long time ago. I was making little Instagram reels for a hot minute, and then realized they weren't going anywhere, and then I got on TikTok. But I don't know. Potentially, maybe Maybe not. I mean, Ultimate Spider-Man, just like Absolute Batman, have sparked a whole bunch of new readers to the comic book community, which is great. I love that. Bringing people onto Scott Snyder, bringing people onto Jonathan Hickman, and it's great. There's just other writers out there that also write great stories, and it, Hickman wrote X-Men.
Yeah, absolutely.
and
that's the. Oh no, what I was gonna say was that's why I asked that question, because a lot of people on Comic Talk will admit that they love to glaze specific writers, and like we all do. But before I say you should read Hickman's Fantastic Four run, I want to read that run. I'll say you should absolutely read Ultimate Spider-Man and X-Men because I've read those. But like people will be in their lives and they'll be like, where should I start to read Fantastic Four? And they'll be like, oh, Hickman's Fantastic Four run. I haven't read it, but I heard it's great. And it's like, I want to know, has anyone read it? Because I don't see anybody talk about it but you, in any like real way. And so like that's why I asked, because it's like I love Ultimate Spider-Man too, like, but I'm not just gonna say read this book because it's by Hickman if I haven't read it. That's why I was wondering, because I see a lot of people glazing X-Men things by artists, and I'm like, you ain't read all new X-Men by Brian Michael Bendis. You ain't. Don't tell me you've read that. I know you haven't.
No,
anyway,
but like I said. But I'm just gonna keep harping on it. Like, Hickman wrote a fantastic run. It truly is, no pun intended, fantastic. There are easier entryways into the Fantastic Four before you read that. And again, I think some of the major arcs and milestones and things that go on in that run hit a lot harder once you know more about the characters. If you just jump into Hickman's run, yeah, he kind of touches on the family aspect, but not like Stan and
Kirby.
Thank you. Not like Stan and Kirby or Byrne or Mark Waid or even Walt Simonson. So that's all. That's the end of my soapbox.
I guess my last question about the Hickman run, is it fun or is it very serious?
It's serious.
Okay, because that was my thing about X-Men. Krakoa is wonderful, phenomenal. It's so serious, and until you read other
super serious
books written by other people, like Dugan's run of Marauders or any Howard's Excalibur, there's not comedy in the book. Like, it's not fun. Like, it's fun in like I love this lore building kind of way, but it's like it's a you gotta think, because you're in serious mode when you read it.
So like all of the comedic moments that you like in this run so far, there are way less in Hickman's run.
Okay. Well, good to know, I guess. I'll mentally prepare for that when we do it. Any final thoughts before we say our goodbyes for the week?
I don't think I have anything else this week. I think I have said all that needs to be said so far about Mark Waid's run in the Fantastic Four, and again, as I've said multiple times already, I am super glad that you're enjoying it.
Yeah, I'm having a blast. I'm glad I'm enjoying it too, because I will say there was a part of me that was like, what if I hate this? Like, how do I talk about this if I hate it?
Then
I'm very listen. I would have not wanted to talk to you about it if I hated it. I would have faked a sickness for the next month.
Damn.
I'm kidding. I'm joking. But no, I'm very grateful that it is actually as good as you said it was. Very relieved. When I finished that first issue, I was like, thank God. It's so good. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to say other than I'm very excited to go eat some cheese. So
we have cheese downstairs too.
You have cheese dip? Yeah. Oh, it's Easter. Duh. Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
So same time next week?
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, that was so fun.